Yeah, thank you. What happened yesterday? Charity. Oh yeah, very quickly. Time to go piss off Twitter. Because they did something stupid. But of course, when is Twitter not doing something pretty? That's pretty. Sorry. I saw art. Now let's see if my Twitter gets suspended. God, I love looking at something and it shit. I love looking at something and it tells me, oh yeah, this couldn't connect. Looks in, it's fucking connected. Ah! Would loosen the wrong side of my fucking mic stand. It's loose, but that's fine. Fuck it, let's get to start early. Why not? Hi, chat! Welcome in. I look really dead inside because I'm tired. Because I just had to go do a bunch of shit. But Loaf's here. He's on the bed. Can't see him, but he's being a little scrunkly. There he is. You can see him. It's really dark in my room. I'm too lazy to turn on the main light. Semi-important Discord notification. That's gonna be in Vienna. That's gonna be a pain in the ass. Welcome, we're playing Genshin. Now you might be wondering, why are we playing Genshin? Well, new Arcana quest came in. And, I want to be mentally abused right now. I'm kidding. That was a joke. It's just, I've wanted to play this for a while. It's just, finals got in the way, and then I was just like, let me Let me just slowly chill myself into streaming.
Alright, I guess I'll go with my textual criticism and your editorial direction for the first draft. I have a feeling that the missing Kabuki Mono will end up being the main focus of this paper. If only we knew where to find that traveler. From what they say about her, this seems like the kind of thing she'd know about.
Speak of the devil and I shall appear, bitch.
Oh, you're the traveler, you say?
Yes. Bitch.
Hey, what's with that face? Don't believe us?
No, of course I believe you.
Sassy traveler.
I first
Sassy
heard about your
traveler.
great exploits when I was still in Inazuma.
Fuck! Sorry, my leg is
First
really
time
fucking
coming
sore.
Face to face with you and your mysterious silver-haired companion. I couldn't believe my luck, and out of force of habit, I started, examining the evidence. Sorry.
Oh, Sawada, for the love of... Sorry, we don't get out much, so our social skills are kind of lacking.
They did not just say we don't get out much.
Traveler, I hear you've helped many people a great
The
deal
face
and
of-
been to many places. Would you be able to tell us about Tatara Suna?
Actually, we don't know much about that place either. In fact, we only came over here because we heard you talking
Damn.
about it and wanted to learn more.
Damn.
Ah, I see. My teacher chose this area of research as a personal challenge. He said it's difficult to get into because even Inazumans don't know much about Tatara Suna's past. But who'd have thought that...
You got my glove.
If you don't mind, I'd love to show you all
It's
my
2 a.m.
outlines of
I'm
the book
sorry.
writing about Tatara
I'm
Suna.
sorry, VI.
Hold on, Sawada. Don't you think that's a bit of a deep dive? on your
Listen,
first
I was
read?
out all day. I'm
Oh,
free.
fair
I was
point.
out all
In
day.
that case,
We'll
please ease yourself
seeing
in
my
gently
cat
by
make it
taking a look
better.
at Akaba's latest
Hey, don't
essay.
use my own emote all dia against me.
Let me give you some background. This all started with the discovery of some records in Tatara Suna.
Well, seeing the fluff butt make
writings
it feel better.
mentioned someone by the name of Mikoshi Nagamasa,
Who
who
the fuck?
crafted a fine blade.
Oh wait.
But in the end, he threw it into a fire to destroy it, and killed his servant Katsuragi. Why? Well, no one knows. Apart from the swordmaker, his servant,
I'm
and
sorry,
the
you had
one who
hair
wrote
stuck in your
this all
paw.
down, the records also mention a kabuki mono. This seems to be an Inazuman word for an eccentric stranger. Someone who dresses funny or acts in an unusual way.
Ow, that was nice
That's
though.
right. Akaba's teacher has spent quite some time researching these events on the ground.
Sush,
This Kabuki
you are being
Mono lived
required.
in
Come
Tatara
here.
Suna for a while before disappearing without a trace. And shortly afterwards, as Akaba mentioned,
I don't wanna
things
grab
got
your
pretty
paw, but
ugly.
So first this strange person goes
I'm sorry.
missing.
This is not the ideal.
Then
Ah,
a
fuck.
murder
Karma came
happens?
back and slapped me in the ear.
Seems kind of fishy to Paimon.
The
Yes,
fluff boy. Oh my god, his eyes look so crazy on
So I
camera.
helped out too. I asked
This is
everyone
the
I could
fluff
think
boy
of
who
if
many of
they
you
knew
met
anything
yesterday.
about what
But
happened
it is
back
a
then.
fluff boy named Sushi.
And wow! Did I get lucky?
Stop shouting!
He is a
This
very
part's
sleepy
important.
kitty.
I just wanted to make it
Some
stand
getting
out.
comfortable so he can sleep.
It just so happens that a friend of mine works at the government records office.
He is also my
He
son.
looked into it for me, and I can now confirm
The way he
that
just
all
fell
the
into a
aforementioned
ball on my
individuals
lap is
did,
kind of insane.
In fact, live in Inazuma over 400 years ago. Even back then, Tatara Suna was already.
Bitch,
at the
I have to
center
deal with
of
this when I'm in
Inazuma's
school. I don't
sorting
want to deal
industry.
with it here. Shut
The man
the
in
fuck
charge
up.
was a government official named Niwa. Curiously enough, it seems like he went missing too.
You are a very soft kitty. Oh?
Wait, so there are two missing people in this story?
Wait, I was not paying attention.
That's
Hold up.
right. What's more, Niwa is a name with a lot of history to it. Have you ever heard of the great swordsmith clans of Inazuma?
Yes, I have. I've fucking been there.
The swordsmiths? Yeah,
Alright, Loaf
like
wants to go
Ishin
away.
Art and so on?
I'll be back in like 5 minutes. There's also ringing in my ear, so I
Wow,
look very
yes,
uncomfortable right now. I
really
am.
good stuff. That makes things easier. So basically, this Niwa was a distant relative of the Kaidahara clan, the last practitioners of Ishin art. Something then seems to have happened in the Kaidahara clan, leading to their downfall. I don't know the details, but taken in light of everything
I
else going on around
do.
that time, it makes you wonder whether it's all connected somehow.
The Kaidahara clan?
Why do I know that voice?
Sawada, you left out the biggest detail of all.
There's more.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? Brace your minds, ladies and gents.
Swear to God, I've
for
heard
they are
this voice
about to
before.
be blown. Or maybe you won't believe your ears. I wouldn't blame you, of course, because in all my years as a writer, this is by far the most.
Get to the point, for Pete's sake.
According to information acquired by Akaba's teacher, the Kabuki Mono was not a human, but a puppet.
Puppet?
Look at the traveler's face. Has to be the Balladeer, but what is he doing 400 years ago?
Aha! Judging by the looks on your faces, you do know something after all.
Titan.
No! Lyman just meant, how creepy.
I roll with a crew of problematic bachelors, and we call ourselves the Squad.
Hi, lovely Gracie. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for following. How's your day? OMG, that looks so sick. My friend helped me set it up. We found a way to get TikTok audios to be alerts, and that was fantastic. But hi, how are you? Far. I'm doing well. I'm a little bit tired. My cat Jess left. I would show him off. A man arrived in around 300 from afar. He spied laborers working on mountain roads towards factory, shoes scuffing on. Oh my god! Jesus Christ! Holy fuck! I'll read that later.
Oh, and please read my essay draft as well.
No! I'm not reading English! Oh god, no. No.
So
College.
was encouraging me to follow his more
I just saw the abstract and my brain shut down.
Essays should be grounded in facts. I don't think explaining everything away with mysterious forces will cut it. Oh, how about if I plug the holes in Sawada's narrative with political intrigue?
Political. Shut the
I
fuck
could
up.
put a turf war between rival factions at the center of the whole series of events.
Wait, you're allowed to just make stuff up?
There it is.
Pretty
There's a
sure you've
Discord
gone from
notification.
essay to guessay there.
Has this guy ever written an essay before?
Akaba, look.
I'm allowed to bully this man. I'm a creative writer. I'm a creative writer. I'm a creative writer minor.
Whatever information we have
Actually-
now is all that there is to know. This is as much detail as you're ever going to get. Besides, if there really was a political
I love
power
how every
struggle going
time
on, if
someone
anything
follows
like
me
the
at my
level you
fucking,
seem to be suggesting, what hope would we ever have of
There we
finding
go.
out the truth?
Good point. Okay, back to the drawing board, I guess. Give me some time. I need to find a new
Like
angle
that
on
gets
this.
messed up. I just think it's funny. I'll leave you
We
to
have
it.
some other stuff to do, so we'll have to say
I'm allowed to
goodbye
bully
for now.
games for their
Good luck with
writing.
your essay.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I am
If you
a
find out
creative
any more
writer
info about
minor.
all this, please do let me know.
I'm allowed to do this
Thanks so
shit.
much.
I want to fly somewhere. I haven't played this in ages.
Hey, so that
It's
thing
become like one of my hyperfixations because it got me through college.
Doesn't it? Okay.
Also,
then
welcome to the
even if we
VIP.
did know something about it, we probably couldn't share
Because
it
I
with
love
them,
giving
huh?
friends / mutual VIP.
After all, we
I'm
kicked
so
his
honored.
butt and got him locked up. Information about
Yeah.
people like that is
A lot of
usually
streamers who
super
like I've become like
confidential,
mutual
isn't it?
friends with, or I kind of just vibe in their chat recently. I just like give them
Yes,
VIP. I'm like,
why
here you go.
not? Akaba should just pick a different topic. There must be as many essay topics as there are.
I just never like say anything. I'm just like, here, they can have it. Oh. 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 Oh goodness, like 3 Discords notification just came in. What's wrong? I looked away for 2 seconds.
Hey, did you see that? He literally just went by.
I looked away for 2 seconds to look at Discord! Oh hey.
The Balladeer. No, it can't have been.
Bro, I was like, I left my phone for 2 seconds!
Quick, let's catch up and see.
I looked away for like 1 second. Oi! Get your ass back here. Get your ass back here. Scaramouche. Also, no one. Wait, I have to say this. No one tell my roommate this. But something happened. No one tell Slushy what happened. Okay? No one tell them shit. It's called Ray pulled up my account and this happened. I saw a guarantee, which I think is hilarious, but no one tell them shit.
The damned will sooner
Shut up.
die again than my
Excuse me,
hands-
Mademoiselle. The fuck are you doing?
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. Nahida, bad news. We just saw the balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or... Ah, it's him!
Yo.
Sure enough, you're here.
Hi.
Hey, what are you doing in the sanctuary of Surasthana? Aren't you supposed to be laughed at? I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain.
This is where I've heard I'm gonna get pissed off at Paimon.
Balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me.
Okay.
Deal? Huh. You sure you trust this guy?
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is
He's
all
so
you can
fucking.
think about.
He's unnecessarily
But if
sassy.
that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Maybe because I'm somewhat merciful.
It was...
Also, you're a
Nahida
kin,
said
motherfucker.
There's still some mysteries in you to figure
You're
out.
a kin.
Ah, so if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold feet.
So actually, I can do that with the glove on. I'm working for a bit right here. That's okay. That's fine. You were allowed to
That
lurk.
escalated quickly.
But thank you so much for
Not
lurking.
a good start. Could I ask you all
I know
to
it's like
please
7,
calm down?
8 in some places. I know it's like 2 a.m. So yeah, do what you need to do.
Don't let him trick you.
Shut the fuck up.
It's not every day you see people questioning the god of
I
wisdom's
don't have a knife.
judgment.
What you talking about?
Just when you think you've seen it all.
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us! As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the
I love her
Balladeer.
character, hate her design.
Well, I, for one, have no reason to doubt you. Considering you even struck a deal with the doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that in the fullness of time. The Balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to
I'm
be a
still mad
strategic
we didn't
threat
get to
to
see
us.
his
That puts him
his,
in
like,
quite a precarious
delusion.
position. Plus, he's a former harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets. Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
What?
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean he's not a harbinger anymore?
What the fuck would you expect?
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser, so...
Sometimes
Oh
it's
fuck! I
you
just actually
using
pricked my
them,
finger.
other times
That's karma.
it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way. Certainly all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui. And also between each of the Harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to be.
Damn!
Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
Don't you literally strangle someone in a
As we
trailer?
discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, why not join forces with us?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear. Don't you?
Here's the
And
part
they're your
I've heard I was
friends.
gonna get pissed off.
So
with
I
Paimon.
guess you'll be siding with them.
Yeah, obviously!
Paimon,
Kira,
shut
don't
the
listen
fuck
to him.
up!
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. We still have time. Today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
Also, I have no idea if you're
Alright.
wondering like what if
Then
you're hearing
I'll
like
do
the
what we agreed.
messing with my knife,
Good.
messing with the bottom edge.
Go now, and keep in touch. Nahida, are you serious about this? Yes. I have my reasons for this decision. In fact, I'm largely doing it for your benefit.
What? Why? Huh? What? For me? What?
Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul. Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you
Shit.
today. So, you have an update on that? Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twin's details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important point. It's possible that the Fatui have other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am.
How is that possible that they would have information?
Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era.
No, I have an idea.
Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces of its power remain in him. He can still connect.
What?
The amount of information in Irminsul
What?
is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would
Shit.
take too long, even for me. So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
What if he lies to you?
Exactly! Or what if...
Paimon, you don't trust anyone. I don't trust you. Shut the fuck up.
him?
This is welcome to I Hate Paimon Simulator.
We've run into him. I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most of all. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. A feeling of being all alone in the dark, searching for the one candle whose light still burns.
Ow.
As Sumeru's
I did-
deity,
I did not
it
come
is
here to
my
get called out
responsibility to
by
be on guard against the Balladeer.
a Genshin character.
But as someone who counts
But I've been
souls
called out
in,
continuously by this game.
I want to do something for you. If this deal with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it.
Thank you. I still don't like your design, but I do like your character.
You're Sumeru's hero. You've more than earned it.
Bitch straight up said, here you go.
I'm still
Shut up.
worried about this idea. Is there anything we can do to help?
Shut up, Paimon.
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. Seems like we have a telepathic connection.
No, we saw the
In
Balladeer.
fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the Balladeer on my behalf while he carries out the task I assigned. Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my mind at ease. Of course,
Oh god,
I'll
my
be
nail's
here to help
fucked, but that's
guide you
fine.
through Irminsul from the outside. Great, thank you.
Glad to help. My voice just died.
Prepare yourselves. I'm going to transport you into Irminsul. Wow, it looks pretty different here compared to last time.
Oh yes, I love exploring shit as a traveler.
Colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
I want to see every... Damn it, I can't sprint, you bitch. Again, Sumeru is so pretty! I just wish that they weren't colorist! Hey, you bitch.
Look at that. Hot on my heels. You know, you didn't have to cut your catch-up short just to keep me company. Oh, but I guess you panicked when you realized that I might enter Irminsul ahead of you.
I was sent here to babysit your ass.
Shut your beak, jailbird! No way a prisoner gets to be so smug!
That's
I
literally what the
understand that
fucking are...
prisoners have to put up with harassment from the guards.
Oh,
But right now, I'm on temporary release. So maybe you should think about backing off a little.
nah.
Sounds like a successful rendezvous. I need to be quite clear about something. In a few moments, you'll be entering into the innermost region of Irminsul.
Like, that's so pretty.
It is an environment like no other, and the most important.
Also,
place
can't wait to
in
explore the
all
fucking
Sumeru.
desert when I get home from the UK and be fucking jet like the shit.
Irminsul's inner region consists exclusively of torrents of information. You must put aside your differences and be extremely careful as you navigate your way through. I know there are many grievances between you
Oh,
on
hello.
both sides, but it is essential that you remain calm after entry. This is as much for your own safety as anything else.
Understood.
Let's call it truce, but only until this mission's over.
Let's cut each other a little slack, shall we? We are gonna be traveling together after all. Per my agreement with Lesser Lord Kusanali, I'll be at the front. It's my job to
There we go.
lead the way and get rid of any obstacles in our path.
Oh.
All you have to do is keep your pretty eyes open and try
Why did I just
not
get an
to fall
achievement?
behind.
You sure are confident.
Oh, add 5
I'll
channels to
give
my
you that.
suggestion list.
You make it sound like you're even more experienced at adventuring than us.
If
He-
there are no further objections, I suggest
Fuck
we
in
get
my life,
going.
I will shut you the
Or
fuck
did you need
up.
some time to mentally prepare yourselves?
Ew. Ugh. The snark on this guy. It's unbearable.
We can start now.
Irminsul access granted. Initiating connection procedure.
Is this a small sapling? Oh, darn it! Come on, let's catch up with him. Wow. So this is the inside of Irminsul.
It's so pretty.
Paimon's never seen anything like this. And it feels like a sacred place.
Irminsul is closely intertwined with the entirety of Tevat. Every bit of information flowing here means something. Pick your jaws up off the floor. It's time to go.
Why is it that Paimon
Oh my
is
god!
the opposite of everything he says?
Oh my god, me and Jay are just like him.
Lesser Lord Kusanali, we will now proceed to the heart of Irminsul.
Can you still sense where the heart of Irminsul is?
Yes. Permission to begin searching for information there?
Permission
He
granted.
sounds so
ahead.
soft compared.
Let's go. Stay close. Don't go running off.
Bitch, no, I wanna.
Hey, so say we did go running off in here. What would happen?
It looks like Aurora lights. What would happen?
What are you smirking at?
I'm guessing we
I
would
was
get lost.
just imagining the look on your travel companion's face if you went and got lost.
It would fucking be relief.
Anything's possible in here. You can't rule anything out. So if you want to stay safe, your best option is to stick close to me.
Bet. Ooh. My urge to look at it. I have an urge to look at it.
Sapling things have spread out.
Why am
Those
I
are
farther?
Packets of information from inside Irminsul. Be careful not to touch them.
Damn it! The location change looks like we've been transported to another path. Oh shit, we have.
It looks the same in every direction.
This isn't too unusual, but it seems like the Battle of Beer is more used to it than I.
No wonder he mentioned about getting lost. Huh. What do you know? He was actually telling the truth.
You act like it's hard.
Is he mocking me again? What is it this time?
There's a time and a place to lie, but this definitely isn't it. So why don't you relax your guard a little?
Motherfucker. I hate him.
We're here.
This man straight up said I'm going into your fucking life. This is the center of Irminsul. All the information in the world is flowing through it.
Lesser Lord Kusanali,
Good, you made it. Are you ready?
This is gonna hurt.
ready when you are.
Oh, this is gonna hurt real
Then
bad.
please begin. Preparing to access cognitive currents. Establishing waypoint.
Hello?
Baladier's actually doing what Nahida tells him. Guess he must want to stay alive.
Nah, man's got a death wish. He's just making sure we don't fucking fuck everything up. He has to put up any resistance. Maybe he seems good at working with the fort. Maybe similar to strange.
The rest is up to you.
Ah,
If you discover anything at all, make sure to share it with us.
Will do.
here's how my Genshin world fucked up.
We're the ones with nothing to do.
Damn, imagine.
Traveler, Paimon, would you like to talk?
Is this a telepathic conversation?
Yes. I've also invited Paimon to join.
Disgusting.
Huh? What the? We can talk to each other inside our heads?
Welcome to what the hell we've been doing for the past couple of days. Started the Baladu.
That's part of it. Plus, we're all friends. There's nothing wrong with us talking like this once in a while.
True.
Paimon's never tried this before. This is great.
Ooh, that was my shoulder.
Paimon's been wanting to ask you something. Don't you think the Balladeer's a bit of a walking contradiction? He's always talking back, but he seems to listen to what you say.
Doing his job. Odd jobs for others. Fuck.
As I've told you before, there are still some
Damn it. I want to reach my
mysteries
bag, but I don't want to get up.
things that are clear as day to me, but that he has yet to understand.
See
Perhaps
if I can-
today will be the day that he finds some answers.
Oh, it's gonna hurt answers. Ah, fuck.
Well done. Smart and attentive as always.
Cleanse a few things around to Hypatia. Are we just now mentioning this? Are we just now mentioning this?
So, you made contact with that part of his mind. Well,
That
it's
part?
true.
That part? What the
Betrayal
fuck do you
turned
mean?
Balladeer
That
into
part.
The person he is today.
Huh. Paimon's got nothing to get under that guy's skin.
Betrayal's a
Turns out
freaky little
Paimon's
thing.
hurt and angry just like anyone else.
Everyone has a history, Paimon. Even if you're a puppet created by the Electro Archon.
Speaking of puppets, we ran into two people at the Academia today talking about an essay. Turns out their topic was about the Tatara Suna incident. Nahida, do you know anything about that?
If you mean the mysterious events, the Kabuki Mono and so on,
Ah!
yes. I know about all of that.
Not the so on part.
Because from what they were saying, it sounded like lots of Tatara Suna's history is still unexplained. And most of the information we have now is just from people filling the gaps with their imagination. At least that's what they thought.
Oh? How interesting. Those two managed to deduce quite a lot through guesswork alone.
So the Gese got it right?
Well, they guessed right about one thing. Tatara Suna was sabotaged.
Must be a riveting conversation you three are having. Funny how all the good ones happen when I'm not involved.
What makes you think we're talking to each other?
Don't insult me. You're having a private conversation without me. Obviously, I must be the topic of said conversation. Of course you do. You can't have your prisoner knowing too much.
Damn.
So, have you found anything yet?
Still looking. Don't get your hopes up, though. You and your twin come from outside this world. It wouldn't surprise me if there was nothing on either of you in Irminsul at all.
Wait, how did you know about that? Did Nahida tell you?
It's not like we've never met before. And anyway, you're world famous. It'd be more surprising if I didn't know a few things about you. Right now, we have to keep the peace. I'm not interested in creating more misery for myself. And making cordial conversation is something I can manage. Huh? Wait.
Oh shit, no.
This light. It looks similar to those saplings. What
Hey
could
dad,
it
it's so pretty. I don't want to fucking leave.
Anonymous data.
What?
Hey, don't you forget the agreement. You have to share it with us.
I don't think he even knows what the hell it is.
Shh. Just wait.
Mr. Niwa, are you certain this is worth the risk? We are talking about Tatara Suna's furnace, after all. It may not pay to act rashly.
There's no one else who can enter the furnace. It has to be me.
Is that so? Well, since you insist.
It's...
Put two and two together, please.
I have been in Tatara Suna for some time now. You have shown me great hospitality, as has Mikoshi Nagamasa, and indeed, everyone else. Under your leadership, Tatara Suna is a warm, welcoming place.
Hey,
Like a giant
friend.
village.
Hey, buddy.
People are gainfully employed. Their lives have purpose. They are motivated. As I understand, the Raiden Shogun has, in recent years, eliminated much of the evil that plagued Inazuma. As for Tatara Suna, it was originally established as a means of safely disposing crystal marrow. The forging industry with crystal marrow as a raw material has since flourished, giving rise to generations of swordsmiths. Some world-renowned, others unknown, all passing on their legacy. Skills, blood, dreams. Every smith brought into this trade looks to find their purpose between steel and blade. That is why you accepted the proposal brought to you by myself and Akame.
Yes, well, were it not for you coming to Inazuma and happening to make Akame's acquaintance, the two of you never would have joined forces. And he would be the first to admit that there's no way he could have revolutionized our forging process like this on his own. At least not on the same timescale. You allowed Akame to take all the credit for a method that you jointly developed. He sold it to me.
Because there's a
And
reason.
now, every piece of ore here is smelted using the new technique.
There's a reason.
Even now, you remain one of Tatara Suna's key consultants, working right here alongside us. I believe it is you, sir, who are truly responsible for the changes in our manufacturing and forging methods.
He's gonna die. isn't
You
he?
flatter me. From the outset, I saw much that was commendable in the forging industry of Inazuma. And it has been my great honor to befriend you all.
So you say, Escher. But is this really the truth?
Oh.
My good sir. What do
Why
you
are we
mean?
using...
I tried to resist thinking it was all connected. Because I didn't want to speculate.
Why are we using
I didn't
fucking,
wanna
like, the
believe
Dutch
that
tilt
things could
so
turn out
often?
this way.
Inazuma
It
has
was
so
a
much
gain from
unnecessary
adopting
Dutch
new
tilts.
technology. Ominous black smoke, mounting production problems. Worker fatigue and casualties are up and continuing to rise at an alarming rate. And recently, as you well know, someone died because of that strange filth inside the furnace. We've kept the truth from spreading outside, but still, I suspect you understand it better than I do. None of the people who went out to get help have come back. Now, our mutual friend, the Kabuki Mono, is taking the Golden Feather to Narukami Island to seek an audience with Shogun. This is our last hope. But that doesn't
Dutch tilt.
faze you, does it, Escher?
Is it gonna switch to the doctor?
Otherwise,
switch
why
to
would
the
you still
doctor?
be standing there with that smile on your face?
I'm just surprised that you finally chose to be so sincere. I'm sure you've been harboring these suspicions for quite some time.
Mikoshi Nagamasa may have noticed that there was one common denominator among all these events. Namely you, Escher. But Mr. Mikoshi is more cautious than I. He does things by the book.
After all, Nagamasa is the adopted son of Mikoshi Torichio, the yokai struck down by the Shogun's own hand. If he truly seeks to redeem his family's honor, an abundance of caution is well advised.
You're well informed on the subtleties of his situation for a mechanic all the way from Fontaine. Are you sure you're not a little overqualified?
Why, Mr. Niwa, are you suggesting I find a job as a
There's a
diplomat?
knife attached to his back.
Sadly, I am so very attached to my craft.
Enough, Escher. I'm here because an evil force is raging inside the furnace. And someone needs to take your new device inside the high-risk zone so we can absorb it.
Dutch
and
tilt,
put an end to the
motherfuckers.
problem.
I'm not even sure that
I'm
was
in
Dutch
charge
tilt.
here. And I'm about to take some responsibility and head inside. Probably to my death. But what about you?
Not the eye shaking.
What are you still doing here?
Judging from the look in your eyes, you don't seem to trust me.
Nah.
Drop the act. We're past that now. Whoever you are, it looks like your plan to destroy Tatara Suna has worked. I just want to know what you're still doing here. What's left? Don't you have all your answers?
Oh, I took
by
the
now?
knife.
Honestly, I'm just waiting for the right moment.
What did I say?
A moment like this, where you finish talking and I stop you from entering the furnace.
You.
You're a little smarter than I initially gave you credit for.
Yeah, no shit.
I thought I'd disguise
This is
myself
the first time we've seen
exceptionally
someone
well,
actually get fucking
at
murdered on
least for the
screen.
first few days. But to my surprise, you had your people look into my background right from the start. It's a long journey from Inazuma to Fontaine, but that didn't stop them. Eventually, they managed to confirm that Escher was an alias, and that I was not from Fontaine at all. And yet, despite all of that, you still fail to realize my true identity, and what I seek in Tatara Suna.
Did you really think you would be able to see through my plan?
If you kill me, there's no one who can get inside the furnace. So you're really going to destroy this place? Is that it?
Oh, but you're quite wrong. There is one other person. Some may not see him as a person, but you killed him yourself.
It is
You're not
him!
a puppet. You're a human. You're just missing a heart.
Shit.
Whoever you're working for won't get away with this. They'll be found out. But this makes no sense. What are you really trying to accomplish by all this? Why go to all this trouble?
It's no trouble at all. Patience is a virtue which I have in abundance. This is all part of a carefully controlled experiment. If you must know, I'm happy to divulge my true identity. I'm a Fatui Harbinger. Call me the Doctor.
The Fatui? Who? What do you want?
Just to create a minor inconvenience for your nation.
Minor inconvenience.
That's it. That's why you gave us your cursed technology? Just to let loose the evil energy from the crystal marrow?
Look how even the righteous soul is filled with venom when faced with its demise. My device functions precisely as you say. It is the only chance you have of preventing a catastrophe and keeping the truth from the outside world. However, I did not make it with you in mind. It is easier for a person to be possessed by evil spirits when they are filled with hate. So give in to your fury. I want to see what happens when a malevolent heart is placed into an unsuspecting puppet. Make no mistake, even without you, that pure, innocent puppet would only end up being used by someone else instead. What other reason would a human have for befriending one who is not of our kind?
If you give him my heart, tell him that both Nagamasa and I see him as one of us. He has nothing to prove to anyone. Because Because not everyone just wants to use other people. The only ones who think like that are people like you.
What a beautiful way to see the world. It almost makes me feel a little guilty. Then out of respect for you, I shall redefine myself. Think of me as a monster or a demon, if you wish. At least this way your death is not a consequence of your own folly turning you into an easy target. You simply lost to something more powerful than you could ever hope to defeat. I say, Mr. Niwa, let's see what happens. Will your puppet friend become a human? No, that will prove quite impossible. Mr. Niwa, already dead. What a pity.
Motherfucker, what did you expect? Peak transition.
Jester, I have completed the task you gave me. Creating a gap and infiltrating Inazuma's inner workings. What fun it was.
That's a cool transition. Or that's a cool shot.
I'd like to introduce a puppet to you. If he proves useful, let's make him our newest comrade. And
My boy went through so much shit!
let's turn him to dust.
Oh shit. Uh-oh.
Hey, are you alright?
No!
Dottore. Dottore.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Man's enters Joker error.
Good.
Oh shit.
Was that the doctor? Did he turn into a mechanic from... But why did we see things from his perspective?
When I touched the doctor to confirm whether he'd eliminated all his segments, I read this memory in his mind. You have to admit, it must be the truth.
Maybe so. But it means nothing.
Are you sure about that?
Does it? But this memory shows that Niwa didn't betray you. He never meant for you to be the one to take the device into the furnace. You know very well what that means. Even more so than I.
I want to hug him. Mr. Trail's a lie has been believed for hundreds of years. Fuck. Was the part of the doctor's experiment if Trails never happened and only existed in memory bullet.
Let's give him some space. He looks really mad.
We need to give him some time to process his emotions.
I'm not still confused about the Tatarasuna incident. So, the doctor was behind it, but why has that gotten him so worked up?
You know why!
Nobody has ever deceived you like that, Paimon. It's natural that you find it difficult to understand.
Think of it from his perspective. You were believed one thing
So
for
now
how
you
many
take the
years?
picture.
Like hundreds so, and then you just learn it's a
Tatsunoko
lie?
took the Kabuki Mono to live with the people of Tatarasuna. Later, the doctor showed up, disguised as a mechanic from Fontaine. And that's when the trouble began. It was all a horrific experiment planned by the doctor. Everything he did was just to plant seeds of disaster in Inazuma that would bear fruit in the future. Of all the unwitting participants in the doctor's experiment, the balladeer became the main test subject. After the events you just saw in that memory, the doctor put Niwa's heart into the device and handed it to the balladeer. Then, he instructed him to enter the furnace and absorb all the filth caused by the smelting process. The load was far beyond what he expected, but the balladeer survived. He left the furnace in sheer exhaustion and said to the mechanic, "This device seems to have protected me. What's in it?" The mechanic answered, "Niwa fled this place for fear of punishment, but he left you a gift. He said it's the one thing that you've been looking for. he took it straight from the chest of one of his innocent servants. The mechanic removed the withered heart from the device as he spoke. The balladeer was stunned that such unthinkable cruelty had brought him the thing he'd been longing for his entire life. A heart acquired.
Welcome to fucked up Genshin lore.
Cursed thing, but it had protected him from the filth. He thought Niwa had completely betrayed him, and yet this very betrayal had ensured his survival. Overwhelmed with anger and sorrow, the balladeer threw the heart to the ground and left Tatarasuna without looking back.
Holy moly. So the doctor killed an innocent man and pinned everything on the victim? That's terrible.
Abandoned by a close friend is sure a great cause of resentment, and now we know behind his decision to take revenge on the rain girl. That doesn't mean that vengeance is the right decision. Says you. No offense, but says you, bitch.
Yes. Only if he understands this can he choose a new path forward.
Dotori, you brazen-faced... Niwa didn't run from justice. You killed him.
You okay? I love how it's like, wait a while. How long is... Oh, fuck. I was like, how long's a while? A while later. That's a while.
Shall we see how he's doing?
Oh, he's gonna kill someone.
Hey, you alright?
Oh, he's hit Joker.
That's a scary expression.
Oh, he's hit Joker moment.
Are you worried about me? If we didn't have such a history, I'd almost think that qualifies me to be your friend.
Look, I'm just worried.
I'll keep
Look, I'm just worried that you're just gonna go batshit insane, like, you know, slash my throat in my sleep.
Hey, are you investigating the stuff we want to know about?
That's why we're here.
Damn. Damn.
But unfortunately, there's no information about the Descenders in Irminsul.
Even if you can't find anything, that seems to confirm it. Irminsul does not keep records on the Descenders. Anyone who comes from beyond this world is not counted as part of Teyvat.
So Kaya doesn't have anything.
Does that mean we have to
So
leave
Kaya...
empty-handed?
Don't thank me just yet.
What?
You look really upset. Well, since Irminsul was a dead end, I guess I can share some other info that might interest you.
What? Why?
Huh? About what?
The reason why there are records about your brother in Irminsul. It might have something to do with Conria. Apparently, Conria was his first destination when he arrived in this world. Plus, he only came to this world because the heavens responded to the summoning.
The heavens responded?
Who pulled 2 gold stars in Conria?
The Jester told me this himself. You can take his word on this. He was a royal mage in Conria, and lived with your brother for a time.
What? Why are you telling me this?
I don't know the details. It's up to you whether you want to believe me. All I can say is, I wouldn't lie to you about this. Did you get all that?
Why would you tell me the truth, though?
Yes. Astonishing news.
Does this info count towards my mission? It wasn't from Irminsul, but was it valuable?
Bitch.
Very valuable.
Oh, not the smirk.
Good. In that case, I'll take some time for myself now.
What have you done?
I saw that bubble glitch.
Lesser Lord Kusanali was right. My power's all but completely spent. Even if I use all of the divine power left in me, I can't sustain this shield for very long. I shared a secret with you, and now you owe me. So in return, I'd like you to answer a question for me.
What do you want to know?
Give me your hand.
Okay. God, I'm way too trustworthy.
Can you hear my voice inside your head?
Oh, we're back on this bullshit. Are you trying to brainwash me?
No, I can't do anything like that anymore. At most, all I can do is exchange a few words with you. So tell me, in this world, is it possible to change the past?
Why would you ask that?
Done.
Huh? What the? What happened? Paimon only saw you hold hands for a second.
Nothing. I was just thanking her for helping me.
That look, see, that I think by not
So long.
deny. Oh my god.
I suggest you get yourselves out of here quickly.
Damn, that line just disappeared.
Hey, wait up! Didn't you say not to go running off?
Fast reaction time. But I don't think we'll be seeing each other again.
Oh my god.
From this day forth, the names Balladeer and Kabuki Mono will cease to exist.
My Genshin world is now fucked up completely.
Those who died in Tatarasuna because of me deserve another chance at life.
Hey, Balladeer! Don't do anything stupid!
You know, I never did like insects. Hordes of the puny things swarming together can be a real nuisance. And I enjoy nothing more than to stamp them out like the pests they are. But if a colony of harmless ants isn't threatening anyone...
Oh, so he has fucked up morals.
To be left
Is that why I
alone.
like him so much?
Luckily, everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all.
Balladeer! Balladeer! Uh-oh, he disappeared. Come on, we gotta
Notice how he
find him
didn't
somehow.
say Scaramouche. He just said... I also didn't say his real name.
Oh no, he's really gone.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yo, what the fuck happened?
Nahida!
Traveler, Paimon, Balladeer, what happened just now? I was suddenly cut off by some kind of power.
It was the Balladeer's fault. He shut you out.
We tell her everything that happened.
I didn't think he'd be capable of something like that with so little power left.
That's the power of an Archon!
Hidden when he was defeated? Or did he achieve something beyond his abilities, and it took everything he had?
Where the heck did he go? Ugh, it's all our fault. They were supposed to keep an eye on him. Sorry, Nahida.
Don't be. It's not your fault. Please, let me handle this from here, even though I'm not sure I can solve it. We're running out of time. Follow my lead and get out of Irminsul as soon as possible.
We're out! And we're at, an inn or something?
This is an emergency. I'll have to ask you to stay here for now. Everything's arranged, and nobody... I'm sorry, but this isn't something I need your help
Oh, thank God. Someone basically told the Traveler, I don't need you for this shit.
Emergency? How bad is it? Nahida, will you be okay?
Don't worry.
That was
My
bothering me.
assessment is correct.
It's also,
There
I
may
also
be
very
some
much now have a
minor
Dutch still going on.
disturbances.
That's fine.
It won't lead to a disaster. Please rest and recover your strength here until I say it's safe.
Her voice has gone. Paimon can't shake the feeling that something really big has happened. What do you think the Balladeer meant? And why did he suddenly grab onto you before?
Mercury read like Valvir's question was strange. It's hard to believe Exul might be very distressing for Paimon. I'll skip that part and focus on the Balladeer. Balladeer said to you, and then we might have been planning.
He wants to change the past? But surely that's impossible. Right, you can't just rewrite history. All that stuff happened already in real life. It's like, imagine Paimon drank all the water in this inn. Even if no one was there to see it, Paimon would sure as heck remember drinking it. So, why does Paimon still have a bad feeling about this? in Irminsul? Uh-oh. Paimon's head is overheating from trying to understand what he's up
How the
to.
fuck can your head overheat?
And it's still not working. Paimon's had it with that little brat. He's been nothing but trouble ever since we met him.
Can you definitely tell I'm having a
There's
hatred for
no way
Paimon
he'll
now?
actually succeed, right? Otherwise, won't everyone who's connected to him be affected too? There's nothing we can do about it at this point. Hey, have you got any ideas on what we should do next?
Why do I have a feeling everyone from Kanye will...
Seems like now there's nothing left for us to do but to go to sleep. But Paimon's still so worried. Paimon won't be able to sleep a wink tonight. So, how about, we list all Alright, Paimon will start. First dish. Andrean chili chicken, almond tofu,
Hell yeah.
satisfying salad. Also Adeptus Temptation, golden.
Yo.
What was Paimon supposed to be doing just now?
There it is.
Paimon was, talking? Huh. Paimon sounded like, The Balladeer? Is
There it
that
is.
a food too? Huh. Weird name, though.
Oh, shit. I actually pulled it off. But how does he have that ability that doesn't make sense?
What's wrong? Your eyes are like saucers. Was it something Paimon said? So, the Balladeer. Is that someone's name? 'Cause it sounds like a nickname or something.
I'm really happy. I need to know what else has changed. Come with me.
Okay, sure. Where are we? Huh? Fine by Paimon, but is everything okay?
Oh my god. I was about to say, isn't there a teleport closer to the city? No, I'm just being dumb right now. I'm surprised we're not asking Raiden. Hold up. Where is she? Oh my god, it's already gone. No, they already put it away. No! They already took it away. No, my boy. My son. No, my boy. Damn, they were quick. Shut.
Ah, it's been a while. Of course. Go ahead. No. Now there's a question I want the once renowned Raiden Gokuden, comprised of 5 branches. Amenoma, Futsu, Ishin, Hyakume, and
It's funny because this relates back to the one event that gave us the banner.
Practiced by these 5 clans was first taught to them personally by the almighty Shogun. Over time, the 5 branches diverged from one another as generations of bladesmiths honed and perfected their craft until they became 5 distinct traditions. Most of the great swordsmith clans of old have since fallen into decline, and for a long time, only the Amenoma branch kept its art alive. But fortunately, Kaedehara Kazuha recently returned to Inazuma and took up the mantle of the Ishin art. Now, 2 clans remain of the original Gokuden 5. If my memory serves me right, you yourself were present.
That's why we
when
had to do
forged the
Kazuha's
Ishin
story.
blade.
Oh, yeah, we were! Paimon remembers that now. We learned a bit about the decline of the Raiden Gokuden then, too. It seems like
That, my friends, is a tragic tale indeed. In fact, this was not made known to me for most of my life. All these years, I knew of those great clans' demise, but never the cause. Only recently, when the question was on my mind, did I ask Kaedehara Kazuha about this. He told me that, as we are both heirs to a branch of the Raiden Gokuden, it was right that I should know the truth. There is no harm in telling you, but I must warn you. It is a dark and sorrowful tale. The Raiden Gokuden were the targets of a murderous rampage by a vengeful bladesmith.
vengeful. Why?
400 years ago, so I'm told, there was a catastrophic malfunction in Tatarasuna's furnace. One brave swordsmith heard the commotion and chose not to flee, but he rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent a disaster. Tatarasuna was home to a state-of-the-art forging and smelting operation in that day, and overseeing it was the armory officer. His surname was Niwa, though he had family ties to the Kaedehara clan. Knowing that they had just one chance to save countless lives, Mr. Niwa and the swordsmith leaped together into the furnace. The furnace quickly stabilized, but neither of them made it out.
So he still died.
The smith's death, though heroic, dealt a devastating blow to his family's fortunes. His orphan son was left to fend for himself, and grew up deeply resentful at the world. In his heart, the whole of Inazuma was culpable in his tragedy. He hated the almighty Shogun for her apparent indifference towards his father's death, and he hated everyone who had done nothing to try and save him. Powerless and destitute, the only legacy he had to pass on to his children was his hatred. Generation after generation bore this grudge, living in utter misery. Alas, if only the story could have ended there. But 100 years ago, the then head of this family reached the end of his wits. He could bear their fate no longer, and yet he could do nothing to change it. Finally, he made a drastic decision to take revenge on the Raiden Gokuden. In doing so, he sought to vent his pent up anger and shake the very foundations of Inazuma's forging industry. In his fury, he murdered indiscriminately, killing even bladesmiths from the Hyakume clan which he belonged to. His goal was absolute, the devastation of all of the Raiden Gokuden. But when he came to the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans, his killing spree came to an abrupt end. He failed to catch them unawares. They fought back fiercely, and they did not spare his life.
Whoops, shit.
That is why the Kaedehara clan and their Ishin art survived that day. I suppose they were the lucky ones, under the dire circumstances.
Change. Someone else attacked the swordsmiths. What was the original one? I forgot. Looks like the Balladeer did something in Irmisol, but it seems...
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Have you seen Kazuha recently?
Why, yes. Just yesterday, in fact. We spoke for a while over some tea. He seemed well.
Still exists, so that's the game.
My pleasure.
Don't tell Paimon. There are other places you want to visit too, right?
Yeah.
Your expression says it all. You can't hide anything from Paimon. On to the next stop. Leap!
I'm sure you will. Oh my god. Emergency food. Vibe! Welcome to the stream. Yes, emergency food. But also, fuck emergency food! Okay, this looks like all I gotta do. Hey, yo, what's up? How's it going? It's going pretty well. I'm tired.
It's you two.
Because, you know, jet lag's kind of a bitch.
It has been a while.
Yeah, we vibing.
We heard the Yashiro Commission is holding a test of courage, so we didn't expect to see you here in person.
You think I only make an appearance for occasions that are deemed sufficiently important?
Maybe.
It just so happens that this test of courage event was
Feeling
actually
it's
my
9.
suggestion.
I
Naturally,
felt
I've
that.
been
Hey, it's 9
planning
for me
in
too.
more trifling considering that such events are quite
We're
popular
literally
across
in the
Tibet.
same time
I've
zone.
had numerous examples
We're in
to
the
draw
same
from,
fucking time. No, we're
so
not.
everything
Never
should
mind.
be
My
in
computer's
order.
not updated.
I'm merely here to do a routine check on the progress of the event. That's
How
all.
the fuck? I just not realized.
Paimon gets it. So
How did my computer not update its time? Okay, usually I'm in the same time zone as you. I'm just home. Which is like an hour behind.
Only Paimon could be so natural. However,
Shut the fuck up. I do not care. Thanks.
as its name implies, the venue for the once teams have been the first person to
The winner of that round.
precisely. Merchants raised if as such.
We'll need to find one.
Yes. See, if a participant
Shut up. Shut up. Don't care. Don't care. Do not care. Do not care. Don't care. Don't care. I'll do all this shit later.
no need to be so anyway. As for the three oh, and a friendly word of advice.
Whoa. What did he mean by that?
Shut up. I don't care.
Will there be spooky things in Chinju Forest?
When is there not? You're just pulling your... I have to do most of this! Fuck!
Well, in that case, there's nothing to be scared of.
I forgot Kazuo gets stuck in this.
Event to win. Grand prize?
I'm still not free. I'm still not free. I'm still not free. Kazuo is just in here. Fuck. That's not what I meant to press. What is wrong? European samurai stay up. 10, I must be old.
Hold it right there.
Ow, fuck. I accidentally just cut myself.
Oh, well, if it isn't my compadres. Didn't
Hi,
expect to
Ethan.
see you here.
My body's running off the European time zone, or they stay up.
Paimon knows that voice. It's Ito! What are you doing
I
here?
felt that.
Oh, wait.
I'm gonna be running off of European time zones in like a week.
What else? I'm sorry, but those prizes already belong to you. I mean, well,
Oh?
it's a long, but Chinju that event's just a game for kids. What a waste of time. Let's seriously test of courage. Ugh, whatever. I guess if that's what the boss wants. Can you believe
That was me over the
What a
summer.
deadbeats.
Fucking Wayward being a British cunt that she is in her time zone at.
Oh, Paimon gets it now. Dragging the gang to
But
an
also,
event we
I'm
don't
gonna
even
have...
go to
No, it's
keeps
funny
us
because
in
I don't think they're giving us time to rest when I get home from the
This isn't
UK.
about me.
So I literally just have to, you know, start classes the next fucking week or like the next day.
Tantalizing experiences
So I'm gonna be like exhausted in these classes.
means a happy life.
I'm allowed to make fun of the British cunt.
Stubborn heads now, one way or another. I'll show. Anyway, seriously, what kind of
Sounds like so
scary
much fun.
pranks could? Not to mention, if the gang.
Oh no, me and her are literally getting tattoos.
Still boils down to
Like she's coming up from Brighton to London, and they're just gonna go drive down again.
Understand.
I feel bad,
Since
but they
there's no
offered.
way I can trust the.
Wait, you don't seriously...
Oh, you bet I do. Yours truly is gonna be out scaring people, but it's gonna take. Come on,
No way!
pretty please,
Forget it!
pretty please.
Wait, nah. I gotta get the.
Don't forget, we
I
have
gotta
to win
feel the
test of
status.
courage and
Sorry, what's the
Chinju
tattoo?
will
I have no
be
idea. It's gonna be an impulse
We'll
one.
help you out, just don't get in the way of our prize.
Yes,
Oh,
you're
wow.
a real Oni. All right.
Listen, the one I actually have a really deep meaning about that I have barely told anyone, I'm getting in January when I get back because there's a tattoo convention.
After is the...
Hey, traveler, Paimon, enough.
Coming!
Skipping important events? Oh shit, never mind. Hi Hazo. Is it just, no. I was about to say, is it more convenient just to teleport? No. No. That bear has caused me nothing but misery.
Alright, this looks like the place. Is it just...
Hey, Paimon!
The big eye.
Nah, nothing. I just had a thought occur to me. I want to scare the gang members real
Bear?
good, but now that I
Yeah.
think
The little beat that you heard is from that.
Hey, I've got it. Then you two can just wait. You'll see how scary this Oni can be.
And there he goes, running off and still talking to himself.
Damn, the one time she's made me laugh.
Here to join... Oh, seems one of the event staff is over there.
Hello.
Aha! You must be here to participate in the test of courage.
That's a mood, running off and talking to yourself. Yeah.
Judging from your outfit, you must be one of the shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine.
That's right. Huh. I can already see a dark aura surrounding the two of you. Yes, truly ominous. If you carelessly go running into the event, all it'll take is one little misstep, and the darkness will swallow you up.
Oh,
Why are we scaring the children?
is she really a shrine maiden?
Sure you don't want to back out?
Oh no, there's a
This
whole
is
ass
your
discussion
last
happening.
chance. I'll count it down. 3. Sure, you could say that. But no need to worry. Just enjoy the calm before the storm.
Sounds sketchy. She's after your money.
Hmm?
Yeah.
But it appears your names were written together as a single participant.
God damn it.
The Traveler and Paimon, which means you'll have to find yourselves another partner.
Wait, are you if
Kazuha!
As far as I know, there have been other participants who
There he
have to
is.
designate a partner. You could go ask around.
Oh fuck. Ayaka's here too.
Be sure to make it quick. If you don't...
Uh-oh.
Oh, Traveler and Paimon. Greetings.
Listen, I gotta go with the boy.
Are you here for the test of courage too?
I gotta go with the boy.
Yes. My brother told me that the event would be most interesting and suggested that I personally participate. I have never experienced a Test of Courage event, so I don't really know what to expect.
Oh, so this is your first time?
To be frank, I'm no expert when it comes to the supernatural.
I am. I took an entire class on this shit. Actually, I spent an entire class learning about it.
It brought shame upon my clan. Oh, speaking of...
Actually, the Shrine Maiden just...
Splendid. I always feel at ease when you're by my side. Sure, I understand. You may let me know if you need it.
Oh, that actually hurt! No! Where is he? There he is. Yes, I got favorites in this game. Shush. 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 There's a class on Supernatural. In my anthropology class, we talked about the supernatural in the sense of like that there's outside things that others may believe in.
Paimon didn't expect to see
Who
you
doesn't
at the
have
test of
favorites?
courage.
People who don't play this fucking game.
And why's that? Do I seem...
Oh, no, not at all. It's just that you're always so calm and collected.
You flatter me. I can say I...
Look, I just need you so I can finish this fucking quest.
Why do you want to...
After hearing the Yashiro Commission promote the reward... Since we hadn't...
Oh, so you were...
That's right.
Also, the fucking sword they give out for this fits him. Because it's, Elemental Mastery, which he fucking thrives on.
No, not yet. Do you need me to be your... Very well then. I haven't participated...
Listen, listen. The animal boy somehow got my heart. The first round, you son of a bitch. I'm in. I feel so bad, because I know people who are gonna pick Ayaka. Again, no one tell my roommate that Scaramouche has somehow become C2. We don't talk about that.
I will now reveal the item you'll be looking for in the first round. It's called Dango Milk. Ooh.
Dango milk?
They're all their actions.
Correct.
Tomoki was kind enough to provide. The path will be marked with Sa now. If
We don't want anyone to beat us to it.
Oh my god, he's actually with us. Ah, damn it. Dango milk? It's, fuck. It's milk tea.
Is it just Paimon? Or does Chinju Forest feel a little gloomier than before?
Hi.
I haven't sensed anything particularly different. How about I tell you a story?
That makes more sense. Yeah, funny enough, I got milk
Once in
tea
my wandering
earlier.
Travels, I came upon a bridge, and I had been told that an ominous presence awaited those who crossed that bridge at night. It was said that there were a pair of lovebirds who tragically fell into the
Oh my god, hi.
and perished. Their grieving spirits converged around the bridge and were never dispersed. So, I picked a night to cross the bridge, and as I was crossing, I heard some voices.
I love Shy the most.
And then?
I need to like...
I stopped and listened for some time, and realized it was a couple disguised as ghosts who blackmailed passers-by for their belongings.
Oh, damn!
They were arguing over how to split their ill-gotten loot.
I need to actually get like
Paimon doesn't feel so scared
freshly made chai. Oh god.
Careful, there's something up above.
Ah! Oh hey, Yoimiya.
What's this? Huh? Fireworks?
Yoimiya's near.
Paimon was scared half to death. Paimon thought we found it, but it doesn't seem to be here. Let's keep searching somewhere else.
Da, 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 da. Here we are on the way. I actually love that they're having more things with the actual.
The horror.
The fuck?
Hello? Is someone there?
I will hunt you, and you shall know my horror.
Have we reached the end? Paimon doesn't see anything here. Seems we went the wrong way.
Just cuts a very important cutscene, cause why not? Please, let me get back to the fucking arc.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this. Let's go, Ushi.
Huh? Who's there?
This man really said, huh?
Weird. That short guy doesn't look very scared. Come on, Ushi. Show him what you got. That's what I'm talking about. You scared now?
Thanks, Isho.
So that's what's going on here. In this case, it might just be better to pretend to be scared.
I'm gonna pass out here. Alright, bye, Vibe. Enjoy your passing out nap. Or sleep.
It seems we'll be the first to find it.
Why do you say that?
I can sense a sweet aroma on the...
Really? Let Paimon have a look. Oh, you're right! There it is! Yippee! Who would have guessed we'd be the first ones? But what's that scarecrow doing here?
Careful.
What?
It's standing up! Is it alive?
It's just a device meant to scare you.
Oh. Well, it sure worked on Paimon. But that should be the end of it, right? There doesn't seem to be anything else around here.
It seems the test wasn't as scary as I'd anticipated. However, I've enjoyed
I was about to be like, man, I've seen some shit that like should not be physically
now that
possible.
we found the Dango milk, we can head back the way we came.
Oh hey! Oh hey! Oh hey! Oh hey! Why are you here?
What's the matter? Is there something over there?
Ah,
I see. So she is at the test of courage too. To avoid any unnecessary complications, I'd prefer not to meet with her. You may pass on my regards. There's a lot of Dango milk here. I'll take half of it back and leave the rest to you. Till we meet again.
Again, I can understand why he doesn't want to meet with her. I can sympathize with this man. The camera fucking moved again. It's called I can fully understand. Because he doesn't know this is A.
Whoa, it's really you. What are you doing here?
Oh, hello. Nico told me about the Test of Courage event taking place here. I thought I would come and have a look.
Ah, so that's why you're here. So what do you think of the Test of Courage? Are you having fun?
It's more or less the same as I remember before.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't scared by anything, but on the contrary, some of the event participants were horrified the moment they saw me.
Wonder why.
That Miko. Did she send A here to scare people on purpose?
Certainly sounds like something she would do.
If that's the case, it feels like A hasn't really experienced... Oh, Paimon has an idea. We'll give you a bottle of the doggo milk we just found. That would make you a winner in this round, too.
Fuck.
Ah, yes. Isn't that the dessert drink we had the last time we met? Sure, I'll take one. Actually, I've sensed a familiar feeling ever since I arrived here. It's brought some old memories to mind.
Huh? A familiar feeling?
Have you been down to the beach by any chance?
Not yet.
I was just strolling nearby when I noticed a space at the beach with a familiar game set up on it. I took a brief look, and it appeared to be a game where you control flippers hovering in the air to strike a ball and hit some positioned elemental cubes. I saw the game was called Akitsu Yugen. I'm guessing it originated from Akitsu Hazura. The thought of that game caused me to recall some things from the past.
Akitsu Hazura? What's that?
It's a game where you use Hagoita to hit a ball towards a set target. It was once quite popular during festivals. Makoto also enjoyed playing Akitsu Hazura when she was alive. Yakiako was still around at that time, and nights in Inazuma were much more lively than they are now. The yokai would hold festivals from time to time, gathering to drink, laugh, and play music.
Oh, does that mean you could eat the delicious festival food whenever you liked?
Yes. The yokai called their celebration the Mikowa Flower Festival.
Uh-huh. That's actually really cute.
Just
came here to like the behind.
She
Hi, Z, welcome to the stream. How are you? Thank you so much for lurking.
Sadly, the past is all but vanished.
I was not on Instagram. What? That I wasn't on social media. What the hell are you talking about?
Does make me feel happy.
Sounds like it could be fun.
If you're interested, it would still be.
As much as I love this,
I think you.
Oh, of course.
I know you can do it. Good luck.
You're welcome. I love how fast I said that. My brain did not comprehend how late that came in.
Oh, little dancing boys! Oh my god, I love that. This courage thing is keeping Paimon on edge. Anyway, the first round of the event should be finished by now, so let's head back.
Wayward, why? Wayward. Wayward. Am I free? Am I free? We're free! I'll be back. Why did this get 92%? Wayward was just like, here's the YouTube video, enjoy.
We're here!
Traveler, it's been a while.
Hello!
If you're looking for the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato,
Are they out on business?
Wayward's just like, here's your YouTube video.
the
Go.
Commissioner is out on business, and Miss Kamisato is standing in for some meetings in the Commissioner's place.
What do you think? Shall we go in?
If it were anyone else, I couldn't allow it.
We'll be heading in then.
Hello, dears. Of course, traveler. Yes, I know who you are. Miss Kamisato has told me about you. What would you like to know? Oh, they're both...
Oh, that's right! He killed their parents!
Lately, Miss Sato has been rather busy attending
Oh,
all
fuck!
kinds of meetings and occasionally paying visits to some local organizations on the commissioner's behalf.
Forgot about that.
As for the commissioner himself, well,
So pretty much business as usual on the Yashiro Commission, huh?
very much.
Leave the house, no changes there. As far as I can see, nothing changed in the Yasuo commissions either. I was expecting as much, but it's still big relief knowing that the Kamisato siblings are both safe and well.
Well, got any more questions?
That's all for now.
You're very welcome. In fact, Miss Kamisato talks about you all the time. She seems
Yano and fucking Levine's ship! Yes!
And she's always
I love that ship! I'm sorry, it's not my favorite. It's not one of my favorite traveler ships, but I'm just like...
I must say,
try not to hit my desk because apparently I'm so aggressive it shakes my dresser.
Better since you arrived here. So you're not.
I'm flattered.
Goodbye for now. We're, great. Goodbye, ma'am. Don't worry, we'll see
All right then.
Oh, you mean the place that I literally...
Are you two leaving already?
Yep.
Yep. Everything's taken care of now.
Very well. See?
Don't! No! Fuck! Get you the fuck! Also, ignore the teens. I was fucking around with shit late earlier. What was that?
Let's get down to business.
What's one more?
Stabilize.
Shit.
No touching.
Useless. Lament.
I don't mean to do that, but this works.
Here.
Access denied.
What's another way to change the position? I was like, I have no idea how the fuck to change the other position. Was that it? Goddamn. Are we good? Are we done? Can I continue on with the lore? Also, fuck this island. Fuck this bitch. I've never hated an island more in my entire life than this fucking quest right here. But I did it. Oi!
Well, here we are.
Do my eyes deceive me, or is that the Traveler and Paimon?
Hi.
Xavier.
I clicked off the game.
What are you doing here?
I was in the general area, and...
We have some questions and thought you might be able to help.
certainly do. I've researched the furnace here in...
We did a 7-day quest with him about the furnace. We would assume he knows.
Like the back of my hand. Make no mistake, I have been here a good
I opened
many
this on the wrong
times
side.
before.
My bad. I fucking opened this from the
I met
bottom.
people in Inazuma whose families used to live in Tatarasuna years ago. They said it's all true, the history here.
I'm listening.
Oh, well, it's a long story, don't you know? The tale of Tatarasuna starts a long time ago.
I don't care. I'm here
told
for it.
that its history is one of the most foremost forging and smelting operations in the nation. Goes back around 1,000 years. Still, the furnace has had a couple of serious maintenance issues along the way.
Yeah, no shit.
A couple? When exactly?
One was just in the last few years, the other was several hundred years ago. A fun fact, I'm not the first Fontaine tech guy to come and work on it either. There was a guy back then too. They say he was a mechanic who consulted on a technology upgrade. It seems like
So the doctor still came.
Collaboration between our two nations goes back a long way. How about that?
Fuck. Mechanic, looks like the doctor still sabotaged affairs, leading to the ensuing chaos.
Hey, weren't you gonna ask Xavier something about Tatarasuna? Come on!
I am.
Oh, I didn't realize you two were here for a history lesson.
Don't.
Me neither. Paimon doesn't know what's gotten into this one today. Feels like we've been preparing for a history exam or something.
Shush.
What brought this on? Did you just wake up today with a sudden burning desire?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead. A kabuki mono? No, I can't say that I have.
Cool, thanks.
I do know the word. Inazuman for those eccentric types who always go around dressed to the nines. Just the sort of person that I'd like to meet, actually. But sadly, I've never had the pleasure, nor have I come across anything to do with a kabuki mono where Tatarasuna is concerned.
Balladeer and Bailey managed to self-history completely. He must have wanted to change the world over everything back to this way, but so far it looks like majority changes only affect himself. Thank you.
Of course! Don't mention it.
My dude really...
We're leaving? Okay.
My dude really said, fuck it, we ball.
You're most welcome. More than happy to help. Farewell.
Great inventor.
You got all the information you're looking for. Sure, but what's up with you today? Whatever it is, it seems like it's really troubling you.
Don't worry about it.
Keep your smile, Spinal Crocodile.
The fuck?
Happens, Paimon will always
When
come.
the
You
fuck?
gotta keep it together.
Why are we called a...
Something to eat.
Okay.
You can't. Alright.
The fuck? Oh, that's right. I got an achievement. I got multiple achievements. Hold up. Time to go slap a bitch, doo-da, doo-da. Why the fuck does that look like that? Oh my god. I'm up above where I don't wanna be. Hey, fuck me. That was nice. So if I ever gotta go beat the shit out of the doctor, I'm throwing Kazuha.
Hey, it's them.
Hi.
Akaba, Sawada, you're still here?
Still talking about the essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
It's the same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Still looking for more info about Tatarasuna, huh? Should we join them?
Yeah, because it gets information. No, no more essays. All of us are just like, no, when it comes to essays. Wait, I'm sorry, baby.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real progress.
Come back. Sushi. Sushi. Can I read it again? I don't want to read it again. Oh, thank you. Okay, cool.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well. Here.
Hi. Hi, baby.
No, please, no. No more. Here we go. Content has changed around the effects of tampering with the information in Irminsul. The Baldir was raised 2 of his names, and really Casino must have taken all of his might, but still. He fucking did.
What do you think?
A masterpiece!
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how he wished he could gather more information?
Sure.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and...
Please, can we just get a fade to black? Thank God! Where's the puppy?
Wow.
Puppy!
So many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge.
Oh my God, his
You heard
eyes
this
look
from a
so
member of the
insane!
Amanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here after all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis.
Hi.
Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly
Look
prestigious
at the
role
puppy!
in
We're
society
taking a
these
puppy break,
days,
chat.
to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
on?
Yes,
That's
yes,
not the-
okay,
that's
point
not technically
taken,
his
you
hoodie, is
were
it?
right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
Puppy's just enjoying life.
And they're back at it.
Puppy.
These guys are really into this.
Sush.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Hi.
Will do.
His eyes are giving a different approach. That's just because my my camera has a lights attached to it.
But hi, baby. Hi, puppy.
Hi there, Mr. Loaf. He's purring. You cannot tell, but he's purring. Hi. Hi there, puppy.
Those memories. So dark.
Ah. Oh, he might be coming. My bad. Some shiver leaves.
Come on. You got this. Come on.
You're okay. Okay. I'm not. You're gonna hang out right there, buddy. Nahida, my love. Anthony time has disappeared.
Hi. What?
Please enter me into a cutscene. God damn it, my cat wants attention.
Nahida, we're here.
Traveler, Paimon, how have you been?
Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time.
The Balladeer? This sounds like some kind of code name.
Thank you for the floof content, Sush. Oh no, the floof content. He enjoys some content.
You look troubled. Is there something you need to tell me?
Boy, I've got a whole bunch of 2 years. Just like last time, anything changes Irminsul affects her. Well, Bestie got a whole bunch of 2 years. The Valadier acted quickly. He finished erasing himself before Nihida could stop him. He's still here. Loaf is still here. He's just being loafy. The only witnesses remaining in the signs will be erased once again, and the record keeper. Let's just add that to list of travelers' name. Just the record fucking keeper of Irminsul. Yes?
Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There's things that have happened that only I can remember. I have to tell you the truth. We're telling her everything. Skylar's story that's broken, shattered across time. Oh. There was once named Valadier, created by Electro Archon, was a puppet who lived above men. After a series of events in Suma the Valadier, thinking he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to roam the world beyond. With no trust from humans and only loathing for the gods, his boy. Oh, hi. I just got a puppy flop. He bore his grudge for years at his grip and strength and returned to Inazuma to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become a deity with Gnosis to end up losing everything. He finally entered Umrizel and learned the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable, intending to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Valadier erased himself from Irminsul.
Yeah, welcome to this is how Puppy's been acting the past 2 days. If you missed the first stream I did coming back, it was just Puppy.
As the traveler said,
I also fell asleep on stream, don't worry about that.
Became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it. Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality.
So, do you believe this person really existed, and we just don't remember him because...
Are you okay?
Because he literally changed the world?
Yes.
I really hope the mic picked that up. That was some really cute sneezes.
It is possible to do this.
I really hope that was picked up.
I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it. The traveler comes from a world beyond Javat. That's why there's no information about her in Irminsul. And it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect her.
Does that mean the Jester remembers because he's from Conria?
In the world capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding
I really hope the sneezes were caught on stream.
Why did he do it?
I can only make inferences based on the information we...
You were enemies after all. I don't think his reception on this. I can't say he did something so extreme. I can't say why. Maybe he was sick and tired. Do you want to reset everything or save somewhere, or do you want to completely undo its existence? Everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once for all. Maybe that's all that is to it. I still remember the question he asked. He asked me sexually, and my hesitation gave him his answer. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Ruka Avada erase her own existence, but I can't tell Nihida that. To put it in other ways, I know why the Valadier was sure it could work, but I can't tell them that.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
Hi, baby. He's such a needy boy! I just feel...
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died.
Yep.
Once the Valadier realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. This story makes sense. Every part.
Y'all getting free loaf content today. How y'all feeling about the loaf content?
The Valadier tried to achieve godhood with the doctor's help. That power
I didn't mean to do that.
Him to change what was
That was just a genuine hesitation
and
reaction.
Erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Puppy, your eyes look so crazy on
still
stream.
ended a tragedy for his friends. It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
Yeah, he changed the world in many ways, and yet the dead still don't get a second chance. Those fated to tragic end could not be saved. What exactly did he want to fight back against? The betrayals in his life, or did he wish that he never existed at all?
Please wait a moment. I want to check. Found it. This should be the one.
The fuck? Did you find his memories?
It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything she has told us.
What is it?
Is that his memories?
A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a
He
corner.
looks like he's about to pounce on the
You
camera.
should take a look.
He's fine. He's innocent. Strangely, the information is presented to you in a way that resembles a fairy tale.
Is this a fairy tale?
This matches
Who
everything
wrote
I...
it?
I authored this record myself.
Backups on top of backups?
Huh? You wrote a fairy tale that somehow has something to do with the Balladeer?
When combined with the Traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else.
Hold on. So this record survived from...
Past past?
Past past?
Yes.
Past past.
Any information about the Balladeer or the Kabuki Mono and other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact. Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that.
It literally does,
But
because
Irminsul
Child,
can't change
Miko,
information that was
Raiden no
well
longer have
hidden
voice
in
lines about him.
advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the Balladeer entered Irminsul.
Backups on top of backups, which is why the theory that the Doctor remembers Scaramouche is so high.
And sending the Traveler into Irminsul with the Balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew she'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul. But if we connect all the different pieces together, the true story that emerges is the one she told us. The now erased life of the Balladeer. There was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends.
Damn.
The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own. Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water.
Oh no!
I am a monster.
Oh, you can see my tattoo.
Yet they are too foolish to see it.
No!
I pity them. But the monster soon found solace when another came to live among the foxes who was not their kin. A kitten, carved from the wood of a white tree who had been abandoned by the humans. The kitten too wished to become a fox, but its tail was too slender and it could not grow a coat of richly colored fur. Yet when the other foxes saw this, they spoke words of comfort to the kitten. Even without a tail and fur like ours, you are still one of us. Furious at this happy resolution, the monster lit a fire on the mountain. The terrified animals panicked as the fire spread. The only way to extinguish the flames was to make a sacrifice.
Oh my god!
A gray fox stood up and addressed the monster. It said, "You are the cleverest among us. Surely you can help us find a way to solve this." The monster smiled, led the fox toward the fire, and murdered it. The gray fox
Oh my god!
turned into a beautiful drop of water, clear, spotless, and pure. The monster gave the heart of water to the kitten, telling him, "The foxes have decided. You are the one who must be sacrificed. Take this, quench the flames, and die for your fox kin."
The fuck?
The fire was extinguished, but the kitten lived.
Oh, it's
Left
fucking...
outside of the mountain and found a little bird who had a broken wing. The two promised they would spend their whole lives together, but the little bird did not.
I was just like, we already heard this, but just in like the actual...
It passed away soon after.
No! The kitten is Scaramouche. I see a little silhouette, what's up, man? Scaramouche, Scaramouche, how you do the fandango? Hi. Damn, he getting into it.
Never again would it cherish a single creature, nor a single blade of grass that stood on that mountain.
Ah, so we really have confirmed I give off Black Cat energy. Nice.
Gnashing its teeth at the moon. How it wished to swallow the moon and devour the moonlight. If the world could only return to darkness, then it would finally be peaceful and content. I will become the new moon, the answer to everything. Then, no one will know that there were once birds, foxes, and cats in this world.
Oh yeah, I forgot that she literally is the fucking moon in every story. Sushi. I know you have fleas. I need to wash you. Sometimes Sush is my level of dopamine. He's mine too. I came home and I was like, damn.
Remember now, this is not just the Balladeer story. It is his very own memories. I made a backup so that it would be preserved no matter what happened. To become a god, he was experimented on and modified countless times. It was brutal torture, and the only reason he was
His
able
eyes
to
are kind of
survive
crazy right now, but
is
look at my
that he was a
son.
puppet.
Look at him.
This memory was
My
extracted
pretty
from
boy.
him by the scholars.
Ah.
Presumably, they kept it to have something to defend themselves with. Creating a deity was just the first step. Some of them wanted to be able to control it. That's why they backed up his memory for later use.
Look at my son. Look at my boy.
I buried it deep inside one of my own dreams, and then hid it inside an
Okay, you can go back in the bed.
story so that it wouldn't be altered.
There he goes. He goes back on the bed. He almost took on the charger.
This person really existed, let alone that he tried to get rid of us on more than one occasion. Paimon has no memory.
Oh, he's going back on his pile.
He completely vanished like a puff of smoke.
The Balladeer agreed to help me look for information about the Descenders, and before he vanished, he confirmed an important detail. That Conria was where your twin
So she's
first
just a
came
little
to this
dopamine
world.
machine.
We still don't know how the change to Irminsul will affect the senior ranks of the Fatui.
I'm pretty sure we have a sushi roll saved in the Discord for like to add
It sounds like Paimon wouldn't like this.
that like I would just post sushi pictures, but the day we tried it, the fucking bot command that we used fucked up.
Doesn't like the way it all ended that much better.
This is why wisdom alone cannot answer all our questions. We look, we see, and we comprehend, but the question still troubles us.
I'll live and fight for you. I'll give the world to you. We'll throw it
So the answer is
away.
not everything. People yearn to find the truth and then conquer the troubles they face. When you give someone the truth, you give them a chance to choose their own destiny. To others looking on, this
fucker.
may seem like a
You fucker.
pointless
You
endeavor,
motherfucker.
but for him, the chance to act on his
Hey.
desire to disappear must have meant a lot. Never forget that even when we walk beneath dark clouds along a road filled with suffering, the light of wisdom is always there, guiding us toward a better destination. And that is what you have been doing all along.
Maybe. You don't know that.
Yeah, Nahita's right. Cheer up. How about we go?
Good idea. Paimon.
You got it. Come on, traveler. Let's go get a snack from one of the stalls in the Grand Bazaar.
Ow,
That'll
fuck.
be sure to lift our spirits. It must be really tough being the only
Can I
one
jump
who
off of this?
remembers all
What
that.
happens if I just can I just leave myself off?
Here to help cheer you up.
Hypothetical question, of course. But what if I just you know, not saying I'll do it, but just a very strong hypothetical. The chair fucking got off the carpet, didn't it? Sure did. I have a very like stupid ass rug under this thing. It helps a lot, but sometimes the chair likes to get spicy. I'm on the outside. It's fine. I'll bleed and fight for you. We'll bring the world to you. We'll throw it all away. Why the fuck do you look dead?
What should we eat first?
I have a nagging feeling like there's something I'm missing, something important that I'm forgetting.
Are you gonna answer or what?
Bitch.
Alright, whatever you want. Well, Paimon will be right here when you figured stuff out. Then we...
Come on, brain, dig it out. It has to be something there. It was something about Irmisol and deleting oneself. Greater Lord Guvala, freedom and knowledge, Nikita.
What is it? Have you figured it all out?
Yes, that's it. Greater Lucre Village, she said that no one can erase themselves for existence, not even her. Otherwise, where Chikritsuno New creation and Lucid Lord Kusanali. In deletion from her, there would be no point.
Why'd you jump up all of a sudden?
Time to go hunt down a clone! I can't tell Paimon she doesn't know about. But this is crucial information. It's impossible for not to Baladir to completely erase someone's existence. And that's the case, the question, what happened to him?
Excuse me, boss.
Ah!
There seems to be a small problem with the last bill.
There he is!
Look, here.
His voice is so soft, I hate it. There he is.
Hey! Hey, wait!
Hmm? You mean me?
No, not you. That kid. Didn't you see? Look, if you're gonna help out here, you can't keep spacing out, okay?
I wasn't paying close enough attention. Sorry, boss. I think you're right. Maybe it's the city.
Who's that guy? You know him or something?
That guy's the Baladir.
Who?
You're a strange one, kiddo. You say you don't want any money for helping out here, and then when I actually give you, I don't want to take advantage, so I'm happy to pay you what I'd pay anyone else. But if you keep acting like this, pretty soon I won't be able to afford to.
No, please. I mean it. You don't need to pay
His
me.
voice is so soft, I
I'm
hate
just so
it.
thankful you agreed to take on an outsider like me.
You're welcome, I guess. But I got bigger things to worry about. Look, we're all out of Sunsetias. And
Leave it to me. I'll find some more.
Stop. I'm gonna level with you, kiddo. I've never met a worker who said they didn't want a wage before. And at first, I got greedy. Couldn't believe my luck. But I figured you'd start asking for something in return eventually. You don't want money. You don't take days off. And in your free time, all I see you do is wander around, taking in the sights. Are you a drifter or something?
That's right, I am.
God damn it, the nail polish matches this fucking color scheme. I didn't even realize I bought it.
Let me get those fruits you needed.
Hey, what do we do now?
Let's follow him.
Okay, stay out of...
Don't let him see you. God damn, are we in stealth mission? Thank God. Doggo. Doggo, not right now. I gotta go beat the shit into a kin. There he is.
Yeah, this'll do.
Even though you say he's the Baladir, what do we...
Shush.
Oh, alright.
This should be enough.
His voice is so soft.
Guess I should wash them before I take them back.
Patrick did way too good of a fucking job. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never believe it. I'm not here.
You two over there. Is there something I can help you with?
There he is.
He spotted us.
Shut up.
You've been following me all the way from the city. I'd have to be blind not to notice.
You're right. We are following you.
Have we met before?
To a certain degree, yes.
No, we haven't met. But you know me?
Yep.
I have no recollection.
It's complicated, but I do know you.
Are you absolutely sure?
Sorry, but I just can't take your
I
word
can
for it.
prove it. You're a puppet.
Puppet? What makes you think that?
Damn, we really said we pulling out the trauma. Oh shit.
You were right. The look on his face.
Don't fucking.
I guess you do know me after all.
Listen, I know you're powerless, but you could probably still shank me if you wanted to.
Look, I'm just a wanderer. But seeing as you've gone through all this trouble to track me down, I'm sure... Okay, but please let me deliver these goods to my boss first.
Are you really working for that guy? He said you don't want any more for it. Is that true?
He's so soft.
Yes, I ran into him out in the wilderness during a storm.
He's so soft.
And he let me take shelter in his cart. In return, I said I'd be his helper for a while.
That's oddly nice of you.
Let me take these back. Then I'll come with you, okay?
Then let's return to the city.
I did not ask for this man to fucking have softness to him. Remember how everyone was losing their shit being like, they're not gonna let him be mean? Yet again, here he is, straight up stomping on people. Fuck, I remember what it was. Aha, haha. Please, I want the specialty dish. That's all I crave. Got it! Damn. Damn. What does this look like normally? Oh. He drew the fucking design on his hat. I hate this man. Come a day with our foundation. We'll even fight for you. Fuck!
Here you go, boss. I'll leave them right here.
Oh, you really went and picked some more. Who are these two?
Oh, we're friends.
Something's come up, and they need to borrow me. Sorry, boss. I'm afraid I'll be away from the stall for a while.
I was just about to pay you anyway. Go wherever you want, kid. Don't waste your time here.
What?
I get it, okay? You just wanted to help me out, to thank me for giving you shelter from the rain that day. Even then, I don't understand why you're so adamant that you don't want any pay for it. But look, it was pouring down, and there you were, sauntering
God,
around
he
without
is
a care
me.
in the world, like you had nowhere to be and didn't even care that it was raining. Imagine you were me for a second. It's a little weird, right? Why is this guy traveling during a rainstorm if he's not trying to get somewhere? And why is he taking a shortcut through the open country? if
I'm
he's not
having a
even in
crisis. I knew I killed this man, but fuck.
But anyway, taking you in didn't put me out even slightly. You don't owe me a thing for it. Certainly not all this. Your time is valuable. You know, you should go live your life.
But I don't...
My thigh just popped.
No, you're right.
I never thought I would hear this man say, no, you're right.
Then I suppose this is where we say goodbye. Thank you again for taking me into the city.
I'm not having a crisis
Don't
over this
mention
man.
it, kiddo. I've run into all kinds of characters over the years. I just hope you find your path.
He will. Give me like an hour.
Thank you.
Sushi's knocked the fuck out. He's sleepy. I don't know if you can see him. I moved the camera.
All right, done. Thanks for waiting for me. We can go now.
You can barely see him. He's right there-ish. Oh no, you can see him. You can see his ear. Don't mind me just taking a carrot and a radish. Don't mind me doing that. My leg is so fucking sore, my god. I swear to god. They put this chair into... Ah, good. Overstimulated. Why not? Yeah?
Reduced to just standing around. How absurd.
Sorry, I had to look at something kind of important for a hot second, but we back. Sushi also left. Oi! Oi! I got him. Bye, Sushi. Give salutations to Sushi.
What's wrong?
To Gucci. Give my salutations to Gucci.
Are you...
Okay, Gucci's being a little shithead as of
Hello.
recently.
I do apologize for the sudden intrusion.
We found this guy in the street, but he doesn't seem to remember anything.
This man has tried to kill us on multiple occasions, and he says, "I'm sorry for intruding." This bitch.
You say that you were trekking across Teyvat to train yourself. Many other Inazumans who describe themselves in this way call themselves Shugenja. Why do you refer to yourself as a wanderer?
Well, it seems more relevant in my case. To me, it sounds like a plant with no roots. But these two claim that they know me, and that I have a hidden past unknown even to myself.
I wouldn't call it the past, but rather... this is a difficult one. I don't like to rely on using terms like this often, but in your case, it seems that it ought to be called, previous incarnation.
So not me emailing my teacher in a panic and practically being dead inside, being like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I can't tell if I'm like losing my mind, but I can't see where to turn this final, so I'm emailing it to you." And then I just get an email today being like, "Thank you, Ren." Kelly, I love you so much.
Okay, I have to ask. What was I like in my previous incarnation?
A murderous snake. A murderous snake.
Oh, okay. You want to tell me, but you can't bring yourselves to say it. Looks like I didn't have the most wonderful existence in my previous incarnation. If it's that difficult to talk about, I have no doubt it will be just as difficult to hear.
Well, you see, you tried to kill me. You fought her about 100-something 20.
Tell me the truth.
Oh no, this is gonna hurt.
Is truth something you care a lot about?
Yes.
Damn. Welcome to trauma.
Straight with you. In your previous incarnation, you did many things that would be considered evil. You
I need to
nearly
wash
died
these.
because of what other people did, and many died because of you.
Perfect.
As a non-human being, you hated gods and humans alike.
Ooh.
You
That was
drifted
a nice
from place
crack.
to place, never able to settle, even where you found status and identity. You adamantly believed that you were missing a heart. Actions rooted in persistence sometimes bear bitter fruit. Sometimes, you have to let parts of yourself go, or you'll never be happy.
I gave everything I had, but it barely changed history at all.
Shut the fuck up, Atlas!
That's true.
I don't think I can judge everything I've heard purely in terms of right and wrong. Each choice a person makes belongs to a specific place and time. A chain of cause and effect. A cycle of karma.
Help, the
and
mods are fighting.
consequence.
That is the nature of truth. If one thing is right, its opposite must be wrong. And yet,
You two live together.
dichotomies like
I'm sorry,
this are
says
not
the
enough to
Shao Kenny.
expand the world in all of its complexity.
It seems like my previous incarnation wasn't the most likable individual.
We're not trying to hurt your feelings or anything, but yeah, we weren't your biggest fans.
Oh, we were each other enemies.
If we were enemies, why are you trying to help me find the truth?
The fuck do I know?
This is so frustrating. This guy's supposed to be our arch enemy, but now he's just some random stranger we met on the street. He's got so much to answer for, but we can't make him talk because he doesn't remember anything. What a weird situation.
Lesser Lord Kusanali, as the god of wisdom, I trust that everything you told me must be true.
Yes.
Yes.
I will still not get
it's
over
all
that this
true.
fucking nail polish matches
I can
his
even show
fucking
you
color
the
scheme to a
memories
T.
themselves,
I
if
hate
you
myself for
will.
buying this, but I was like, it's
Please.
pretty color.
I want to see them for myself. I want to experience my own transgressions.
Yeah, I'm good.
So it will cause your present self great mental anguish?
I'm just a puppet, with no heart and no name. There is nothing in this world for me to cling to fill the void within me. Except maybe these sins that can never be undone.
Very well. As you wish.
Wait, shouldn't we go with him? This one's kind of on us for bringing him here.
Time for blue. I hate that. I hate this name.
Don't worry. Whatever danger I might face, it's my burden to bear.
Traveler, could I ask you to supervise him on my behalf?
Okay.
Oh, good point. Given your, unique situation, we'd better keep an eye on you.
Understood.
I have to pull up TikToks I have for name references, because that's coming up soon. I also got a new phone. Oh, hello.
No matter what lies ahead, I'll face it. Whatever it takes. I'm just sorry that you have to join me for the whole thing.
I'm gonna hit you as hard as I can. Fuck!
No matter what lies ahead.
Didn't mean to hit that. Why is it level 90? I'm gonna get my ass beat, aren't I?
This looks like Inazuma.
I wonder the fuck why.
Right now, you're in a dream I created using information extracted from your memories. These memories will show you the raw truth, but be aware that enemies may react just like in the real
I forgot to put out Miko instead of Zhongli. Whoopsie.
Sounds like an immersive experience.
You don't need to do this for me. I don't deserve your protection.
You are visionless and kind of just...
Never give up halfway. Well,
You don't have your fighting experience, you don't have a delusion, and you don't have a vision.
This is the Shake Pavilion. In your Balladeer incarnation, this is where the Electro Archon placed you after your creation. You had a great many memories here.
I kinda gotta protect your ass real fast.
this is kind of like his birthplace?
You could say that, in a sense. You'll see why shortly.
I hear footsteps.
This place is huge. I can't believe the landslide didn't fill it in. I wonder who built it. The Crystal Marrow Miners? No, there's no way. Look at this exquisite construction work, and so well preserved, too. No mining crew would be capable of this. There's someone passed out on the ground.
Who are you?
You're awake. What happened? How'd you get stuck here? Are you injured? Not a scratch. And these fine clothes. Who are you?
This man is Katsuragi, deputy to Torichiyo's adopted son, Mikoshi Nagamasa. He found the balladeer in Shake Pavilion and took him back to Tatarasuna.
And the rest is history. Well, it used to be.
In the original version of events, Katsuragi was ultimately killed by Nagamasa.
Let me get you out of here. Our people are nearby. Hang in there.
During the Tatarasuna incident, Niwa was murdered by the doctor disguised as a mechanic. The balladeer, then known as the Kabuki Mono, disappeared not long after. As the second in command at Tatarasuna, responsibility for what had happened fell to Mikoshi Nagamasa. But Katsuragi had sworn lifelong loyalty to Nagamasa after the latter had once saved his life. At Katsuragi's insistence, Nagamasa killed him to put an end to the Tatarasuna incident.
Katsuragi seems like he was a good guy.
He looks like a warrior, but he has a kind face.
I found a name.
Why couldn't he live a long and happy life?
Nagamasa, I found this young guy in a cave sealed off by a landslide. He doesn't remember his name.
Well, we need to call you something. I hear the workers are calling you the Kabuki Mono.
That's fine with me.
Katsuragi, report to Niwa. Tell him we have someone new joining us.
Gotta get some sleep. See ya. Bye, Z. Hope you have a good rest. Ah! Bro, I look away to read chat, and the game tries to kill me.
Huh? What are we doing back here? Whoa, this is where you were born?
No.
It's pretty.
It's the child.
But there's nobody here.
No. It's the child.
I was abandoned, like you. I lived here for a while at first, but there's nothing for us here. We can't stay.
Okay. I heard my mom and dad used to make swords, but the factory manager died. And then my dad got sick. He kept coughing all the time, just like me. Then Mom started coughing too.
Why are we doing this?
But you can't. You promised me.
Yup, we're family now. We're gonna be together forever and ever.
This child didn't have a name. Or rather, the balladeer didn't know what to call him. His father died before he could name him. After his mother died, the child stayed in their straw hut alone. Some of the neighbors helped to raise him.
No, I think we run into this child.
Tatarasuna, the balladeer ran into this child who didn't have a name, just like him. They made a promise to live together.
What happened to the child then?
He died from his illness while he was still very young. The balladeer came home one day and found that he had stopped breathing.
No!
Hey! What's wrong? Say something! You promised me we could be family!
You're no different from Niwa and all the others. You betrayed me too. pieces have gone. It looks
I did
like
not
the
come
memory
here
ends here.
to be hurt. Actually, yes, the fuck I did. I came here to be hurt.
Let's keep going.
I came here to be emotionally destroyed. I came here to get the shit kicked out of me. And that's him. Ah! Can you stop trying to fucking kill me, game?
You do realize you're blocking my path.
I come not to obstruct you. I've been waiting. What you are truly is a weapon. One that can be wielded with an iron will. Or you could continue to drift aimlessly.
Are you trying to win me over?
The long-awaited rebellion has begun. Why not take your place at the banquet and join those who shall feast?
Oh my god, you can see Crystal Marrow.
Born of ice.
Put your back into it. You can't run. Well, time to fulfill my duty. No slacking off.
That all you got? Don't be a killjoy. We've only just begun.
No touching.
I see through you. Solidify. You can't run. Well, that all you got?
We'll break you.
Don't be a killjoy. We've only just begun. You can't stabilize. Well, lament. Worthless.
That was a good shatter.
No slacking off. My work.
Worthless.
Finished.
I'm sorry, how much did that do? Oh no. You know what this room is.
This place is dark.
Yeah.
Paimon knows this place. It's the Delusion Factory in Inazuma.
In the original version of events, the Traveler once encountered the Balladeer here.
Hey, friend.
Such a creepy atmosphere. And so familiar.
I remember this. It was an unsettling place.
Hey, look over there.
Well, well, my fair lady.
Holy shit, Senora!
Rundown factory and these incompetent fools all for me? Wow. You shouldn't have.
Huh. What do you have to gain from belittling your subordinates? You might not want to admit it, but you are a part of this plan. Perhaps you find fighting in the Abyss to be a more meaningful use of your time? Oh, but of course, even this pales in comparison to being experimented on by the Doctor.
What a sharp tongue you have. Funny how negotiating never seems to be your strong suit. For the task ahead, I suggest you keep your true feelings to yourself.
Save your breath. I know what I have to do.
I'm sure you think so, but I still think you need to hear it. Don't start thinking you're invincible, and don't let your emotions get in the way.
Surely you're not worried about me.
I just can't have you getting in my way. You and Child never fail to find ways to complicate things.
Damn. Shit.
I'm merely lighting a little fire in this chaotic nation. But you, being tossed out like trash, must make you want to destroy it completely. Do you remember the last time you were here? That was a lot of swordsmiths you killed. I'm sure the descendants of the Raiden Gokaden are still suffering the consequences now. Look at you. Oh, don't get so sentimental. Now, give that poor little tongue of yours a rest and stop pretending like you're above everyone else.
Goddamn. Shit.
Bye then. See you at the Victory Feast.
Victory Feast, bitch, you dead.
poor little tongue? She's playing with fire talking to me like that. Who does she think she is? Forget it. Someone might find me here any minute now. I should prepare to give them a warm welcome.
You knew we were coming. Ha! The face.
The plot does not end here. There is more of this story to come. Wanderer, are you able to continue?
It's the more along the lines of does he want?
Yes. Please don't worry about me.
You son of a bitch. You bitch.
Why are you staring at me in silence? Can't you think of a nicer way to express yourself?
Where is she?
I'm under no obligation.
I hate this
to be nice
bitch.
to you. Besides, I thought nothing mattered to you except results in your own interests. Isn't that right?
Oh shit, I don't have Miko for this.
Muddle-headed puppet. You're only number 6 because you can take more abuse than other humans. Do you really count that as an asset?
You're about as much fun to be around as a raging inferno. But before we murder each other, it'd be best if we finish our duties.
Worthless. This is Her Majesty's gift. Worthless. Worthless.
Oh fuck.
Stabilize. I will have order.
I was like, that's not gonna do a lot, but fuck, never mind, I guess.
Let me amuse myself a while. All hail. The more, the merrier. Allow me.
Prepare yourself.
Let me amuse myself.
Nope. Oh
Looks
no.
like we have arrived in Sumeru.
Considering that Amorta's sage, Nafis, refused to join this project, I'll take part in the experiment in his place.
Oh, he's smiling.
Welcome.
Oh god.
I look forward to a fruitful collaboration.
That's some fruity ass wording, but okay.
When do we start?
You seem impatient. You should know that becoming a god is far from a trivial affair.
The biological transformation is a lengthy process. As such, I too would recommend that we commence as soon as possible.
Fuck you.
In the event that a successful connection is established, his body will become permanently bound to the machine, and he will be unable to move independently of it.
Nothing
Oh,
less than what
fuck!
I've been through before then, Doctor.
You were the most resilient test subject I ever came across. Thanks to you, I was able to garner a great deal of information.
What?
Alas, after that, you were under orders to remain in the abyss. We barely saw each other, and it became difficult to further refine the knowledge I had gained.
The fuck?
That was gracefully worded. Ever wonder what they think if they knew that nothing matters to you, apart from your crazy experiments?
I suggest you speak to me in a more respectful tone, Scaramouche. The mere fact of your utility does not make you indestructible.
A doctor again? That was uncomfortable to watch.
No shit, Sherlock.
That person gives off a very sinister energy.
He's the doctor.
It's normal for him to give you the creeps. He scares the bejeebers out of Paimon.
Let's move on.
No. No. I'm not going through this shit again. The sound is nice, but I'm not going through this shit again. Cutscene time,
You're a
motherfucker.
god. Do you think I'm evil?
I'm not a
If
god.
you accept that he is you, just as you are you, then yes, you are evil.
Okay.
In your eyes, are there any differences between humans and puppets?
Do you think there are any differences between your present self and your previous and future incarnations? If not, then what are the differences between humans and puppets? Whoever has tasted the joys and sorrows of life in the human realm is human. Whoever has loved and lost, cried with grief, howled with rage at the tragedy of death that eclipses the miracle of life, they are human too.
I've seen enough of my past. If possible, I'd like to reclaim the sins that are mine to bear. No matter the consequences, I won't run from blame or punishment.
What are you
Can you
saying?
return my memories to me?
Oh.
But won't that mean you'll lose your current identity?
I've always believed that human lives follow a set of rules, with each person being a collection of past experiences. As a puppet living in a human world, my life is subject to the same rules.
Regaining your memories means reverting completely to your previous incarnation. All the emotions that you discarded will return to you. Are you sure you want to do this?
I've lived with a void in my chest my whole life. My creator didn't need me. And ever since I awoke, I've just drifted from one place to the next. But then I met you. And I finally realized that reclaiming my missing sins might be my one opportunity to become my true self.
Although a person can erase themselves even though the original Baldur, this person will begin living his place as a person's sins.
I've always felt I have an innate tendency to yearn for something more, in a way that goes deeper than for most people. But for all my soul searching as a Shugenja, I've never fully understood it. Looking at it now, it seems that I brought this curse upon myself. So I beg you, grant me this opportunity to gain a purpose, to change my destiny, and end my wandering.
Very well. Since your mind is made up, I will return to you that which is yours.
I just realized the boss isn't in the background. Cutscene time, motherfucker.
You have made your decision. Now, take this.
Oh, you're about to be in a world of pain.
Set him free.
Miko.
A puppet? What's he doing here? You're a human as far as I'm concerned.
Everyone's here. Wonderful.
Fuck you.
What a fine blade.
Oh.
Nagamasa will be thrilled.
This is my...
Is he alright?
Bestie, you forgot about that thing. The music do be hitting. Yo, Traveler. That fucking dull sword.
Hey! Are you done yet?
Hi, Mom. Come on, Ricky, Ricky.
All worthless dross will be purged. That's why this won't be the end.
Yellow. Well, we dead. That is beautifully shot, though.
Balladeer?
He's wiping off the thing of he got hurt. he is.
Die.
There he is.
This is trying my patience. Got any more stupid questions?
There he is.
That's far enough.
Insignificant past!
The wind rises.
What they put on him? Okay. Disgusting. My god. There we go.
At my command, you shall fall.
Holy shit. My god.
The wind rises.
Churn! Insignificant past!
Squall Fury.
Know your place.
Oh my god.
My endless cycle.
Shit. Shit.
begins.
Shit. 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 Shit.
Wind rises.
Insignificant past.
Squall Fury.
Still one of my favorite boss music pieces.
Feeble human.
We ain't human, bitch. I might have missed that out of the corner of my eye. Oh, thank god they don't stay. That's the first time I ever got caught in one of those. There we go. The game's like, here you go. We'll give you the pity. The everlasting Lord of Arcane.
Imbecile! Get out of my sight.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Welcome back to the land of the living.
It disappeared. Did we win?
What did you expect? I'd never lose to that.
There's the tone of voice again. You're definitely back to your old self. Wait, but it was you inside that thing too. What have you got to be smug about?
Sorry. I'm harsh on myself and everyone else. Just the way I am.
Now that you covered your memories.
You sound like you're concerned about me.
Because I am.
But don't worry. Thanks to you, even if I didn't change...
The memory recovery seems to have been a success.
Come on. Let's continue the...
Me, myself, but not I. I! Is there a chest? That's just cool to look at. Alright, cool. Oh yes, now we get to name the bitch. Now we get to name the baby girl.
Welcome back, Traveler, Paimon, Balladeer.
It feels like we just went on a really long journey. Paimon's exhausted.
You don't like being addressed by that name?
It's fine. But I was just thinking, I should probably change it.
Shut the fuck up. I'm getting your name right now. If the shift key could fucking work.
Ronan.
That makes sense.
After learning about everything the doctor did, there's no way I can carry on using a name connected to him.
Oof.
I'm not planning on returning to the Fatui, and they wouldn't take me back anyway. Recent events will have affected a lot of people, and they might not even remember who the Sixth is.
Go fuck yourself, mate.
So, you're quitting the Fatui for good?
Let's call it a tactical retreat.
It's like you said, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Everything may look futile.
But that doesn't mean your own past has disappeared.
Of course.
And your main goal, for which you gave up everything you had. You weren't
Oh,
able
his
to
electro
achieve
vision's
it.
different from A.
I hope you can see and understand that. Changing the world, changing the past, what you were looking for is complete annihilation.
That's
but
cool.
This is just a fantasy.
Is it gonna switch back?
If the Balladeer is
That's
removed
so
from
cool!
existence, the world will not heed your will.
I have to give this game
Indeed.
like
How ridiculous.
Shut the.
Do you regret doing all that when you've gotten so little in return?
Do you?
Even if I'm completely worthless, there's
How?
nothing in the world worth regretting. Lesser Lord Kusanali, you purposely left that information in Irminsul, didn't you?
Yes, and I took pains to make sure that you'd acquire that information naturally.
Why would you go to such lengths? You trying to win me over too?
In all honesty, your past experiences have made you a useful asset to Sumeru and to me. When
Yeah,
you
no one
offered
tell my roommate this man is C2.
But
Don't
before
tell her.
I wanted to tell you the truth about your past. If all I wanted to do was use you, then I'd be no different from the doctor.
Very clever.
I guess you could say that's one of my virtues.
Utility to others is what gives me worth. So if embracing my sins is what it takes to make me useful again, so be it.
She doesn't see you in that
Oh,
way.
right. I almost forgot. You're the good guys. You're into justice and all that.
Nah, I just want to see the
Sorry
Traveler
if I
lose
have
their
a
fucking
slightly
shit.
different perspective on things, but I don't feel like I've been duped. The wisest leaders are fated to end up with the best help.
I'm glad you're able to think of it in that. Traveler, in the future, I'll continue to search Irminsul, including the beginning of your twins' journey recorded in Irminsul. What exactly happened before and after that point? I will try.
Traveler.
Yeah. Yes.
After I dove into the information torrents in Irminsul, why did you go to Inazuma?
Because I wanted to know what you changed.
So that's how you found out whose fate had changed. And how? Well, whatever your reasons, you did me a favor. And I'll do everything I can to
Please
pay
don't
it
make it
back.
sound like I'm
Borrowing
extorting
and
you.
returning are the only real relationships between individuals. I'll balance the books one day. Don't you worry.
That's not true. A relationship between two people is not simply a ledger that can be reset to zero. I think deep down you realize this. People who show up in your life don't just evaporate like water drops and leave nothing behind. There is no such thing as balancing the books. Some things in this world can never be brought back, and they can never be changed. Everything that you feel is real and lasting, and whatever is missing in you will not be made whole. To be human is to live with imperfections.
I didn't
choose
come
whether
here
or
to
not you
get
want to
hurt.
be human.
But humans can't live without a heart, can they? Anyway, I gave up trying to become a human a long time ago.
You understand what pain is perfectly well, even without a heart. You're just bearing your feelings.
The fuck?
The past is set in stone, but you can keep moving on. And the longer your future lasts, the shorter your past will become, until one day, it is but a tiny fraction of your life.
Sounds like you've got a future planned out for me.
Hope you can give her a chance.
Everything's ended up being pretty darn complicated.
Nope. Skipping through the dialogue.
Then I guess I'll be helping you from behind the scenes from now on.
I'm glad that you've accepted our proposal. Why don't you
Ooh! Paimon wants to pick...
Why?
Because Paimon still doesn't like you that much.
And yet I've abused this man's powers
Then I
so
hope
much.
we don't see much of each other in the future.
A name is life's first gift. You didn't say it out loud, but... the Traveler and Paimon have helped you a lot. If you can't decide on a
You want
name-
us to decide?
Paimon only does nicknames. If it's a serious name...
Have you got anything?
You can obtain an item from the Archon quest, which allows you to change. Cannot be utilized in this change once you rename this character. Some interference games go for it. Times you can rename this character, so do with Claire. Terms of service. Okay. What happens if I just put, you know, my name first? What just happens? I'm curious. I have a name saved.
Do you want to share your name with me? Not a bad choice.
That's actually not too bad.
Okay. Have you... Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, all right. If you say so.
What, you thought I was gonna name you something fucked up? I'm not that much of a cunt.
There. Now you have a name of your...
What about a nickname? Are you done yet? Take your time. I don't need to see you again until you've thought of one. Everyone who manipulated me and made me suffer will have to pay the price.
You mean the Fatui?
The doctor, at least.
Oh no, I'm bringing him and
Now
Kazuo
that
into
your
the main
stance has
together.
changed, I believe your future path will...
One more thing. There are still some descendants of the
That's
Raiden
so
Gokuden
cool.
living in Inazuma. Some of them know. Well,
so
they
she's
ought
back.
to know about the connection between Raiden Gokuden and myself. I don't plan to leave Sumeru for the time being. If you see them in Inazuma, please tell them that I was the one responsible for the Raiden Gokuden's downfall. Even though the events have been erased from the world, they still deserve to know the truth.
I see. That is up to you.
Huh? But if we do that, then...
It's fine. Let them stab their blades into my chest if they so desire. Maybe that's how it always should have been.
Fine.
No nonsense. I like it. Alright, let's call it a day. Goodbye, Wise Deity. And you too.
He's gone.
What he went through today would have been like living an entire lifetime in an instant. He'll need some time to calm down.
Oh damn it, it shifted to the side more. I don't want that to happen.
But even so, after everything that's happened, he doesn't seem quite as fierce anymore.
He still is.
So we can finally go eat? Paimon is starving.
Thank you both. I hope you will find somewhere nice to go
Oh, shit.
and relax for a while.
That sounded bad.
I've got it! I can end my novel with some words from Mikoshi Nagamasa.
You mean because everyone else in the story is dead?
Yeah! I heard that Mikoshi Nagamasa died at a ripe old age. He's the perfect fit to be the narrator of the epilogue.
There we go.
The dark clouds had dissipated, but they continued to cast their shadow
There we
in
go.
Mikoshi
I
Nagamasa's
fixed it.
mind for decades to come. Then, one night, as an old man, he had a dream. On the night when that prized blade, the Daitatara Nagamasa, was forged, the people rejoiced, and there was painting, dancing, and drinking. All these expressions of joy melted down in the furnace fire and turned into red clouds that rallied around the final sunrise that Mikoshi Nagamasa saw in his lifetime. Life is a story too...
Oh. Oh, he heard it. I will admit, Sumeru is so fucking pretty. I'm not just excited for everything else. I know this isn't highest peak. It's up there somewhere, but...
about time we had a break. As soon as you stop, all the tiredness and hunger comes rush. Wow! Huh? Look at the did someone break it while they were cleaning the room or something? But Paimon doesn't remember there being a cleaner.
You broke it. My mistake here. Paimon bumped into the table after the star was something to do with the balladeer and broke the vase. But the balladeer is exists in a changed world, so why is this vase still
You
broken?
sound lost and confused.
Who are you?
I know why you are troubled. Any who knew of this would find their mind overwhelmed.
Keep talking. I know your voice.
Is there someone here talking to us?
Unfortunately, the fate of Tevat
Who the
cannot
fuck are
easily
you?
be changed. Perhaps a god may have a slim chance, but for anyone else,
Oh, that felt nice. But who are you? I know your voice, you bitch.
who can say? When a small animal runs into a tree trunk, though the tree may sway, it is not displaced. The same is true of fate, like a vase that falls to the ground. Whether it is broken by a cat or by a bird, the result is still a broken vase, is it not?
Who are you? How do you know about all this?
History does not change easily, but human hearts can.
Damn.
Believe your own eyes.
It doesn't say.
Only that which you see
But her voice is so familiar to me.
true. What is unseen is but an illusion.
The voice has disappeared.
Oh my god, Paimon's actually getting into the story.
And who the heck was that? And what were they doing?
Believe my eyes, does she mean I should trust my memories?
Anyway, that face feels wrong just leaving it there.
I think that's the god of time. I wonder what else awaits me in the future. That has to be the god of time. It has to be. It fucking has to be. Alright. Let me visit the teapot and then I'll end stream here because it's almost 10. I've been live for 3 hours. I'll do the new event offline.
This realm is true.
772.
If you ever have it.
You have something to say?
Oh, it's perhaps you have come just to... Yes. Unsheathe your weapon.
I'm not mentally prepared for this.
Then I will come again once your preparation... I will use my blade to confirm whether you
Wait,
are
you're serious?
naturally... The moment that blades are crossed in battle also becomes a kind of eternity. A simple and direct method, yet more clear than any language. Huh? So you could see through my guise? Oh, I thought my impression was accurate enough. Huh? Never mind. I'll be honest with you then.
I was about to be like, ah,
I
shit.
desire to spar with you.
Damn, even
After all,
even this history got
you have
erased.
ever proved capable of withstanding my blade. It would be a pleasure to train. However, I feared that you would be hesitant to strike me, so I used the identity of the. Oh, you don't refuse.
I mean, I kind of beat the shit out of you every other week, but goddamn. I already stopped by the... I already got the traveling teapot stuff earlier. I fucking love this teapot design. I'm so glad they gave it to you for free. Because I would have been an emotional wreck if I had to, like, fight to get the fucking... to get it from the Tree of Dreams. To Tree of Dreams. Yep, okay. Oh my god, Hazel has something to say now. Yo!
Well, hello there, my dear partner. Remember, if you ever... I was just about to head out for a bit. Care to join me, my dear partner? But the trip might be a little inconvenient. First, we'll have to go into town and buy a few things we'll need. Excellent question. But naturally, the answer is no. I'll leave that task of apprehending criminals to colleagues who specialize in that kind of thing. Actually, I was thinking of visiting the relatives of some convicted criminals. Some of them are elderly folks. It was my conclusive evidence that landed their relatives in prison. If it wasn't for me, then they wouldn't be left all on their own. Yes, of course. It's
of course I had to have
Hazel's
fucking
duty to establish
or
the
almost
truth.
playing.
But once the case is
Fucking
solved,
hits different.
the criminal's family are the ones who will face public ridicule and discrimination. Of course, it is my hope that they can move on from the events of the case sooner rather than later, and just continue on with their lives. After all, speaking just as plain old Hazo here, I'm a firm believer in... Oh no, that wouldn't work out well. Tensions tend to rise the moment... You see, my intention is to just show them some care. So it's better not to reopen any old wounds.
Damn.
Better if I just leave the items with a letter on their doorstep. Anyway, we'll leave once you're ready.
Damn, that's actually like...
My intuition tells me that with you coming along...
Damn! Damn! That kind of hurt. Also, yeah, I think this just is a very fun table conversation. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end stream here. Oh, damn, that was actually kind of smooth. Who is currently alive right now? Who can I go bother?
This guy, he's lame. I've killed him.
Oh, damn, and I got VIP? Alright. Sorry, I was looking at someone's chats for a second. No one that I follow is live that has, like... No one...
The damned will sooner
Shut up,
die again than lay a hand on me.
Oh god, someone's doing a fire needle challenge. Hold up. Never mind, I was like, yeah, that'd be fine. Their fucking part. They have almost. Someone doing the button?
Those memories, so dark.
No, this is fine. We'll go raid them.
The damned will sooner die again.
Alright,
than
cool.
lay a
They're one of
hand
the people who actually has the things up. I won't be live tomorrow. Monday's like the one day I don't fucking stream. I looked at my schedule and I was like, damn, I don't stream 2 days. But that is honestly a-okay. But yeah. I don't know what I will do Tuesday, but we'll 100% have to go see. But yeah. Bye.